he'll wake up.
The trick is double fist. You got to do beer and a monster.
Yeah, I do have Monster. I got some in the fridge, but
Does like Rachel just drop off cases of them for you?
no, I wish. Fuck. So disappointing.
Ah. My buddy
She
used to be
even-
a Red Bull rep, and he would drop cases off for me.
Yeah, she's got like a vending machine at her office where you can buy it at cost.
Nice.
So that's pretty cool, and every once in a while she'll like bring me one, but it's never by the case. She does give me the heads up when it's going to go on sale.
Well, there you go.
So I'll know like, oh, Food Basics has got the 4-packs on for, $6 or something. But
Nice.
So out of curiosity, what is like at cost?
I'm not allowed to tell you that. No, it's not as much as you think. It's like $1.75 a can. The profit margin is not that huge. Yeah, they're making pennies per can. It's not like $1 and it costs them 10 cents to make.
Well,
It's nothing like
it's because
that.
all their staff keeps going on maternity leave. They have to hire all these people to do their jobs. They're
Well,
like
they should
paid
hire
girls.
uglier people then. It's not my fault.
Hello to all of our listeners out there in podcast land. Welcome to episode 42 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, recorded on September 12th, 2016. Joining me this evening, we have Tyler, a student of Pinochet, gun enthusiast, and the co-host of the International Liberty or Death podcast. He currently shoots with Ansel's Ghost Gunners, name subject to change. Hey, Tyler.
Good evening.
Good evening. Pre-show was entertaining.
It
Did you
always
catch
is.
that? Was that broadcast live?
Oh, yeah, that was totally live.
That's what I was wondering.
Nice.
Yeah, good times.
One of these days he'll get the intro down without any screw-ups.
Hey, I got that intro. I nailed that. We just had 2 minutes of witty banter ahead of it, that's all.
Wow.
The bands are good.
I might leave it in. We also have Gavin. Gavin's a business owner, gun enthusiast, hunter, and atheist, and the host of the Greater Toronto Area chapter of the Tactical Beard Owners Club. Hey, Gavin.
Hey.
Marty doesn't have an intro. Hi, Marty.
How's it going?
Nice of you to have the internet today. Glad you could join us.
Yeah, we topped her up with diesel today.
As always, I'm your host, Andrew. I'm a libertarian competitive shooter, a gear reviewer at everydaytactical.com, and a firearms instructor.
Then we'd love to hear your feedback about the show, so please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. And if you use the iTunes, you can leave a review on there, a 5-star review, and leave a comment in that as to what you would like me to drink for an episode, and I just might do it. And I know I've still got to get to cider, but unfortunately I didn't have time to run to the liquor store today. But next week.
Were you supposed to drink Beaver Valley cider?
Preferably, yes, but any cider will do.
Okay, because I can get you some Beaver Valley cider, because the cider is like 10 minutes from my house.
Yeah, if you want to grab that, you can bring it on Saturday to the thing.
I can trade you some for my MAGA hat, maybe.
Okay.
I don't think I'm going to make it this Saturday, FYI.
Well, hopefully you can. If not, no worries. We'll shoot some guns in your honor.
Yeah, thank you. Dead air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's driving
That's
this?
the edit point right there.
Yeah.
All right, let's do what are you drinking? Left to right on my screen, we have starting with Gavin.
I am drinking a rye and Coke this evening.
Nice. That is Coke, right? Not Pepsi?
Yes.
Good
Excellent.
man. Good
Coke
man.
Zero to be precise, but
For no calories.
well, more for the no sugar, but
They got to put something in it, man.
yeah. Aspartame. Aspartame.
Mm. Tyler, what are you drinking?
Shock Top, Belgian White.
Nice. Marty, are you drinking?
Yeah, I got Innocente's charcoal porter today.
Solid choice. Well done.
That sounds like one fancy beer.
It is one fancy beer. The guy that runs Innocente is like a PhD in molecular biology. He's like a world-renowned expert on strains of yeast. Not even kidding. He talked to me for like an hour about yeast when I was at his brewery.
I bet that's how he gets all the ladies.
Yeah, sure. That's it.
Yeah. His beers were relatively undrinkable when they first opened, I thought, but actually over the last year or so, they've really gotten pretty good.
Well, I think that's because he's decided that he needs to make this a commercial success and not just do what he wants.
Yeah.
So that's how business works.
That's how business works. It is a neat little brewery in Waterloo if you happen to go by. Say hi to Steve.
Yeah, when they first opened up, they like it was like a challenge to see how many hops he could fit into the vat, and so it was just like super bitter. And
I'm
I don't
pretty
mind
sure-
like I don't mind a hoppy beer, but like it was just way over the top. But
That's the trend though lately, right?
Yeah.
For especially craft brews is like how much like a skunk's ass can I get this to taste?
yeah. But they basically the word got around that their beer was undrinkable, and then they made some changes once the business started falling off.
But like that charcoal porter is like that's won what two golds at the World Brewing Competition?
Gold and a silver, I believe.
A gold and a silver.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The beers are great now. Yeah.
The beers
Really
are
come
very
around.
good now. I mean, I still wouldn't like want to try whatever Steve does brew in his free time, but the commercial stuff has turned out pretty well.
Yeah.
I've got some of the really hoppy beer tonight. I've got the Mill Street West Coast style IPA. So this is one of those beers that they try and jam all of the hops into, which I don't know. It's weird. It's sweet, and I don't think of that as like the style for West Coast IPAs. I mean, it's hoppy and it's a little bitter, but it's very sweet.
I don't know how you guys drink IPAs. They're terrible. And does that Mill Street one come in a clear bottle too? They probably store it in the sun for like a week before they ship it to market. Brutal.
Please, I hope not. It's in a can.
They still taste like shit.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm more with Tyler on the Vice beers and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Give me British style beer any day. Make it hoppy. Put Fuggles in it. Give me Cascade hops. All of that good stuff.
Oh no, like a good British bitter, like a Guinness or something like the stout, I'll drink. But that IPA crap is.
No, the new the
Yeah.
West Coast IPA thing is intriguing, and I really enjoy it. Like a well done IPA. And I'm not sure I would say that the Mill Street one is a well done West Coast IPA, but yeah, throw lots of Cascade hops in something, and I'm a happy guy.
It can be hoppy as long as it's balanced. Like you get like
Yeah.
that good citrusy kind of taste to it as well, and it can be good. But like you said, there's a trend amongst especially the microbrews to just go over the top. Like try to outdo each other basically.
Well, and I think it's like you start drinking that and like you start getting a taste for like terrible beer, and it needs to keep getting more and more terrible to sort of like trigger your palate. Like
Yeah, because like spicy foods, you have to keep going spicier and spicier to make the same impact.
I can't tell if this is hoppy. How hoppy is this? Oh, it's really hoppy? Okay, let's add more hops.
yeah, eventually that just becomes normal, and you don't even taste it anymore. So you have to keep upping it. Like they're doing with Scotch too, though, with like the peat flavor in Scotch.
I never hope to drink any sort of terrible Scotch. That doesn't sound
Oh, then stay away from Peat Monster. It's disgusting.
good. The name alone is a giveaway.
You can smell it from like 15 feet away when they uncork the bottle.
No, pass. That's not how Scotch is
It
supposed to
just
be.
smells like a bog.
Yeah, although it might work really well for cleaning your gun. I'm sure that gets in everywhere and cleans all the carbon off. But your gun will just smell like a bog.
All right, let's talk about the OS shotgun match because Gavin and Jeff did that. Or Gavin and Tyler did that. And Jeff did shotgun.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to hear about this. How did you guys do? What was it like? Where was it? How much was it?
Tyler's best showing to date, I believe.
No, it wasn't my worst actually, but I think I ended up being third in my division.
You came ahead of Jeff, if I recall.
Yeah, I did beat Jeff, so that's really all that matters.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all didn't really have our best showing. I made a ton of little mistakes that just cost me several seconds. When I reviewed all my GoPro footage, it's like my shooting wasn't inaccurate, my reloads weren't bad, but in two cases I left targets standing, first stage and last stage, I think. Although pretty much everybody left the target standing on that last stage because it was just like a labyrinth of barrels and stuff, and it was really hard to keep track of what targets you would hit and not hit.
Oh yeah, a lot of weird angles to
Yeah.
sort of get around those barrels.
Yeah, I think only one guy in our squad actually took them all down. I think Jeff actually
Yeah.
left 2 standing. It's a pretty good stage actually.
Yeah.
But
This is done at Galt?
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's
but
this? The 5th out of the 6 matches?
yeah, that was number 5. So the next one is 2 weeks from now. Next weekend, and it's a match, and then there's also a shoot off. And I'm told that they take the top 8 in each division, and they'll pit first place against 8th place, and it's sudden death, and then they have champions. So I'm not really sure how the prize works, like how the prize system works, because they had said that they've got like 10 grand worth of prizes on the table. And I thought that maybe they would be awarding prizes based on your standing in your division, and then there would also be like a shoot-off type of prize bracket as well. So I'm not really sure what they're doing. Whatever they're doing, it's secret. So
Yeah.
I was down at Dean's last week or whatever, and he was commenting and saying like they have enough prizes that every single person that's in the OAS is going to walk away with something.
Oh, awesome! That's
Nice.
pretty cool.
Hopefully one of them is a new shotgun.
Yeah, I'd be
I
happy
took,
with
like,
just a gift
You
cert
need something else to
to
fix?
Yeah, and I finally had a chance to take mine apart, and I'm looking at it, and it looks like everything is working, but it's not working.
870?
Yeah. Like I pulled the trigger groove off. I'm looking. Nothing is broken. The springs are all there. It's not working, but everything looks good.
Do you have a separate 870 trigger group to compare it to?
Yes. I haven't had a chance to do that, which I'm going to tomorrow, but
You must be like missing a spring, and so
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah,
see it broken because it's gone.
yeah, I mean that very well could be the case, but I mean it looks like everything is there and everything seems to function when it's out of the gun, but as soon as it goes back into the gun, it won't work.
Just the way it locked up on you, like there had to be metal pieces getting around.
Yeah. But well, maybe I'll just buy a whole new trigger group.
You
Just
know,
say
if you
fuck
just bought a Benelli,
Andrew's gunning hard to get the sponsorship from Benelli for
I'm
this.
just saying, Jeff and I have Benellis. Jeff and I don't have those sort of problems with our shotguns.
I don't know.
Actually, Jeff's got all kinds of problems with his Benellis.
That's mostly Jeff, though. That's not
No.
the Benelli.
He's experienced it with both of his guns. Like he has 2 identical guns for competition, and basically the same problem that I had with my Versamax, where the shells could crash into the side of the chamber face rather than like feed directly into the chamber. So, the guns aren't perfect. You get what you pay for, I guess, because he's shooting a Nova, and that's not exactly the high-end Benelli, but it is what it is. Gavin, since you said that the trigger group actually looks fine, I'm wondering if your problem is in the receiver itself, because I've seen receiver failure before.
Yeah, that could be. Maybe I'll try pulling out the other one and popping it into that receiver and
Yeah.
see how that goes. I mean,
Because
luckily
your gun was locked up.
Oh yeah.
And then it just kind of gave,
Yeah,
and then,
like it
and then
was-
kind of cycled normally back at Oxford. And I'm wondering if it was like a little piece of spring or something that was jammed in there, your gun wouldn't have locked up. It would have moved. It would have been gritty as all hell, but it probably wouldn't have totally locked up. So I'm wondering if part of your receiver rails or something have
it's bent or
fractured or something. So
yeah, it's possible.
yeah, but I don't know. My gun functioned fine. Like I said, I made a few mistakes. It is what it is. Pretty crappy standing. I'm middle of the pack results, which I don't think really reflects the kind of shooter I am. More so, how I did at Oxford is kind of more where I'm happy, more where I like to be. But hopefully, I'll be able to turn it around for the final match and finish strong in the final standings in my division.
Yeah, I would say though that this last one was a pretty challenging. Like every stage was pretty messed up and interesting.
Yeah, it was hard to game each stage for sure.
Yeah, I mean Jeff was rocking his ghost gun like crazy, and I mean even he had missed targets. So
yeah.
Well, we'll just have to see how we do on the last match.
Yeah,
When's the last one?
It's at
coming up.
Crumlin.
Yeah.
When is
Crumlin,
it?
Is it the
2
end
weeks.
of the month?
2 weeks.
20
yeah, September
yeah.
24th.
Yeah.
So I'll be in the area, and then I guess I'll see you guys at Jeff's later on.
Yeah, after party at Jeff's of sorts.
Yeah, if you need a shower or anything after the match, Tyler, I'm like 5 minutes down the road from Jeff's place.
Oh, my parents' place is
We're
on
gonna-
the way. It's on the way to Jeff's, so I'll have to stop and pick Rachel up. So
Fair enough.
Right on. That's all you guys got about the match?
I mean, I could talk about it for an hour, but
Yeah, it was
you
good.
wanna talk about it for an hour.
Yeah, it was good. The stages were challenging.
I just don't want to move on unless you guys are content.
What was your favorite stage, Gavin?
That's a good question. I mean, I think that one where we all missed that one target was kind of the most fun.
The final
Like
stage.
with the Texas Star, yeah, like because it was challenging, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed straightforward because you're just moving, from the right to the left across. But yeah, with all those barrels and different angles, it was interesting to shoot it.
Yeah.
You want
so
to
that-
describe it for a bit?
Yeah, this stage you start outside of the designated shooting box. There's the shooting box that was about 10, 12 feet wide, and you start outside of it. And in front of you, there are 4 or 5 targets with a couple no shoots mixed in there, and there's probably like a dozen or more barrels. So you have very limited shooting lanes to take on your targets.
Yeah,
And-
one of the two of the targets are to your far right, almost at 180. That you
Yeah.
have to lean out of the shooting box basically to shoot around a barrel to hit them.
Yeah.
And then all the others were sort of more into a 45 degree from that corner, and then straight across.
Yeah, I think it was 17 targets in all, and 4 of which it was a Texas Star where one of the plates was already out, and it was activated by a popper. So you go to hit the popper, and then you move on to the Texas Star, and it's already swinging. So you can't do what people normally do, which is take out the plate on the top, and then you can take out 2 or 3 more before the thing starts moving. So by the time you get on the Star, it's moving. So I thought that was a nice touch.
Yeah. See, a lot of the guys were shooting the popper, letting the thing swing while they would engage the other target, so it would slow down.
Yeah, I've never really felt like that's a huge advantage. Because usually, when you do that, it usually involves you having to do a target transition, and the time you lose on the target transition,
You probably could have just.
Yeah, I don't think you really make it up on a slower moving target because it's still a moving target. You still have to track it.
Yeah.
So maybe for the pump guys, maybe it helps, but for the semi, and you're maintaining the same sight picture, there's no violent action occurring when you pump the gun.
Yeah.
It's easy to just pick them all off. But yeah, no, that was a fun stage. I thought that was definitely the most unique stage, definitely the most challenging. The funnest stage, however, was the third stage, which unfortunately was my worst stage. You start in this closed in, fenced in box, and you've got to crouch down, and you've got targets to your left, targets to your right, and you also have a plate rack in front of you. And so, right off the bat, you've got 10 or so targets that you need to hit before moving backwards. And then as you move backwards, you got to hit poppers that throw clays on your left and right, and then other miscellaneous targets kind of spread in there. And then you come all the way to the back end of the stage, and then you've got 3 clays to your left and to your right. And these clays are at 4 or 5 yards. So it was interesting the way they laid it out because you had no shoots very close to intended targets, and they were 15 yards away. So you're thinking I should probably run modified, nice tight choke so I don't ding these no shoots. Because the way they run it, if you hit a no shoot, if there's a pellet mark on the red paint, you're getting scored for hitting a no shoot. And so you want to make sure you keep it.
If you hit a steel target with just the wad but not a slug and knock it over, you also get scored.
Yeah, you're good to go. That's a good hit. So you want to maintain a nice tight shot pattern, but then that kind of burns you in the end, where you're shooting at really, really close targets that are only 3 or 4 inches across, and you're shooting really quickly. And of course, because I'm running an optic, I'm a little bit higher over my bore with my sight picture than everybody else running a bead. So I probably shot like below these targets, or just shooting too quickly and shooting to the left or the right of them. But because they're so close, your shot pattern's so tight, you're just missing them. So that prompted me, like I missed a few of them and had to take a second shot at them. That prompted me to buy a light modified choke. So now I'm between improved cylinder and modified, and hopefully that'll kind of be the best of both worlds. I'll be like tight enough, but it'll still be open enough where that doesn't happen again. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like shit. I mean, we could talk about this for hours. I really like it because there's a lot more that goes into just a straight up shotgun match than you might think.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you are changing chokes between stages depending on what's called for.
And then based on what your barrel length is and everything too, right?
Yeah. Like what was the barrel length on your gun, Kevin?
I think it's like 18.5.
Yeah, I mean, you should probably run like modified like for the whole match.
Yeah, I've got an improved modified on it.
Okay. I was switching back and forth between an improved cylinder and modified. Now I think I'm going to give light modified a try as soon as I can get to the range and pattern it. But a lot of people don't realize kind of the technical aspects of the game. Really loading is always the killer, though. I mean,
yeah. I am looking to get a nice 20-inch barrel, though.
Gun nuts, just going gun nuts.
Yeah, it's just finding the money more than anything.
Well, how much money did you spend at the range today? Priorities, man.
Well, yeah. Not that much, though. Surplus ammo in the SKS and the VZ.
So, like, $20?
Tops, if that.
Right on. We got some YouTube feedback, then we're going to transition. So, first one's from Trigger Mugger. Gavin has a crappy glass. He should use his really cool mug.
I'll be right back.
And we're supposed to ask Gavin if his shotgun actually made it through the whole match intact. I don't know. Tyler, did his shotgun make it all the way through this time?
Yeah. I don't remember any catastrophic failures. So.
Right on. Then Victory says A+ on the Innocente Charcoal Porter, so I guess that's a good choice. And Pat Groy. Say again?
Nothing. Keep going.
Okay. Just making more editing for me. I see how it is. That's fine.
Yep.
Pat Grory, I'm not sure. Peated Scotch is wonderful. Try Octomore. No.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on that one.
I like the Scotch that I like. They tend to end in Livet. Glenlivet, Glenfiddich, some kind of Iddich, like that sort of an ending.
Yeah, and just for anyone listening that puts a 5-star review in and puts some really gross peated Scotch, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, we're going to leave that one up there with the Bear Grylls level stuff.
Yeah, and here you go, Ben. Cheers to you, brother.
All right. And I couldn't join you guys. Nice. The YouTube commentary is amazing this evening, as always. I wasn't able to join you guys at the shotgun match because I was off playing with bolt-action rifles at Meaford, which was a whole new experience. I got to take part in the first Precision Rifle Series match being held in Canada at 4th Canadian Division Training Center in Meaford, Ontario on the weekend. And I did horrendously.
I checked out the score sheet, and I was like, and you're not an inexperienced or bad shooter, so I thought, damn, like the competition must be pretty stiff.
Actually, my squad was the Multicultural International Multilingual Squad.
So the Toronto squad?
No, well played. I ended up shooting actually with the 2nd and 6th overall competitors, which are both sponsored shooters from the U.S. One's a professional military sniper, and I also shot with the KDEX team from Quebec. So they're all running their KDEX stuff, and they are all parlez-vous en français.
And what were you running?
I had a massive disadvantage by running just a very close to stock Remington 700.
At
In
870, it makes
308.
half at 1,000.
Yeah,
870
would have been funny.
smoothbore.
Yeah, 870 smoothbore, 1,200 yards. No. Rem
That
700.
would be pretty fucking impressive if you did do that and fucking won.
Yeah, thanks. Rem 700 XCR tactical long range. The only thing that's been done is it's been bedded. So.
Did you mention the caliber?
It's a 308 Win, and it was running a 6-24 by something enormous, 6-24 by 50 Vortex first focal plane mil radian scope.
Right on.
So that's a big question. What was what were the common rounds these guys were using? Is it all like 6mm type of stuff?
6.5, yeah. The top guys were running 260, 6.5 by 4.7, 6 by 4.7. Seems to me there was another one. There was like 4 big popular rounds that a lot of the very experienced shooters were running. We did have a lot of people up from the States. The top shooter was American. The second top shooter was American. The 6th place shooter was a professional sniper for the U.S. Army. We had a guy come up from New Mexico. We had a bunch of Canadian military and law enforcement snipers there. So I'm not really upset that I only came 65 out of 82 because I'm single loading my Rem 700 and these guys are all running like detachable box mags, and they had more invested in their scopes than I have in my entire setup. So I'm not unhappy with how I finished because I hit a lot of the targets on every stage. So the way the scoring works is it's basically it's all steel and it's hit or miss, and you get a point for hitting, and you don't get a point for missing, and you move on. So if there's the very first stage that we shot was 1,100, 1,400, and 1,800 yards. The fact that I even got to shoot 1,800 yards made me happy. I was scaring the 36-inch piece of steel at 1,800 yards, but there was no hope that I was ever going to hit it.
It was a 36-inch diameter circle?
36 by 36-inch plate. Big square.
Okay. Okay.
Now, are you time limited, round limited, or both?
Yes. Most of the... actually, everything had a part time of 90 seconds, although some stages were, if you finish them before the time ran out, they use that to calculate your score. Although most stages you just timed out, and I timed out on pretty much every stage at 90 seconds. The vast majority of the stages, there was originally supposed to be like 24 stages overall, but they were very ambitious, and like I say, this is the first time we did it in Canada, so I think the organizers bit off a little bit more than they could chew, because after the first day and we'd only got through like less than half the stages, the second day they severely reduced the number of stages and the round count.
Yeah.
So I think we ended up shooting 19 out of the 24 stages. And on the second...
pretty...
Oh, no, it was still impressive,
Yeah.
and we shot like 100 and... I want to say it was like 130 rounds was the actual round count. I actually only expended like 80 rounds of ammunition because I timed out every stage.
Yeah.
Part of that, part of my problem was actually the blind magazine in my 700 because it's just like the internal 4-round mag. Not having a detachable box magazine put me at a pretty extreme disadvantage because I constantly have to,
It's the current year. What are you doing running a gun without a detachable box mag? I don't.
That's the thing. I have this and I shoot precision rifle with it and it works fine because there are 2 shots. You shoot, then you have a follow-up shot, so 2 is no big deal.
I guess, but take the gun out of the game and put it to a real-world application. Do you want a detachable box magazine? I think so.
I do, but do I want a detachable box magazine for the Remington 700 I shoot a couple times a year, or do I want more ammo for training for my AR-15? Priorities.
Just work harder. I mean, then you can have it all.
That's right.
But I would also argue that if you had a detachable box magazine for your 308, you would shoot it more.
Possible. You know what though? If I really, what would encourage me to shoot more is more of these kind of matches where I had access to
That
unshrouded steel on any sort of distance.
Yeah.
Because we were shooting unshrouded steel in Ontario on a military range at 1,800 yards.
Well, they're not worried about it ricocheting or anything at 1,800 yards.
So they don't care, man. If you look at a map of Ontario, they actually have the tank range. Like that whole Meaford base, like it's actually like it's like the size of a provincial park, Like it's
it's huge
thing on the map.
Yeah,
they don't care. Nothing. They have artillery and tanks shooting at that place.
Yeah.
Like
We
the
actually
the
ended
whole
up-
area is clear.
Where it was, we were shooting off of 2 of the artillery pads, so they set up the stages. So on one day, we shot off of the one artillery pad, and on the second day, we moved to the other artillery pad and shot all of our stages off of that.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
Yeah,
it
cool.
was super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I would love to do that next year.
If I'd known about it in advance, I probably would have blown off the shotgun match to do that. But
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
next year.
I'm the same. I would have loved to have gone and done that. That sounds like a blast.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it would matter for you, Tyler, but for me, because it was a 2-something hour drive, almost 3-hour drive, I actually stayed in rations and quarters, so I just stayed on the base and ate in the mess and slept in the barracks.
Yeah, I live like 15 minutes from the base.
Yeah. So for you, it's not a big, but for me, that was great.
Did
Get
they
up in the
charge for
morning-
that?
It was. I stayed for two nights. Lunch was included with your match fee, but breakfast and dinner were part of your rations and quarters. So for me, for 3 days with breakfast and dinner and sleeping there was $150.
That's not bad.
That's all right. Well,
Hot lunch?
Yeah.
Did Marty just ask how much?
Hot
No, it's
lunch.
a hot.
No, boxed lunch.
Box lunch.
Boxed lunch is a military thing. Cold
They
lunch,
just-
sandwiches, piece of fruit, some sort of a dessert, juice boxes.
They just
A
give you an
cookie.
MRE with nothing to heat it up with.
No, it's not even. It's better than an MRE, and we get IMPs, but they're still good.
Well, if they do it there next year, save your money. Come stay with me. I'll probably be participating.
Yeah, no, it was a great time.
Wow.
I hope they do it. I think the match fee was $275, and then rations and quarters was another $150.
Fine.
And
Yeah, it's not cheap.
There was hard. It's not a cheap weekend, and it was. It's a minimum of 120 rounds because it is a PRS series match, and the original round count was 200, and they ended up cutting it down to. I think the final round count was about 140. Like I still only shot 8 because I'm slow, but
Yeah.
it was super fun. Getting to stay in barracks with guys that you work with all day, like that you've been shooting with all day, was pretty cool. Because everybody gets up and everybody goes to the mess and everybody sits together to eat. And everybody, because we're on a training range, the military has rules about how we're allowed to transport firearms and ammunition. So we actually had to go and put our firearms and ammunitions in the quartermaster stores, and then they had a truck take all of that stuff to the range, and you just picked your stuff up at the truck when they dropped it off. And same thing at the end of the day, you put it back on the truck and they take it all back to the quartermaster stores. And then you're done. And if you wanted to go take your weapon out at night for cleaning, you wanted to take your firearm out at night for cleaning, you could do that.
Whatever you call it a weapon, who cares?
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
on base.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and so that was
What?
pretty cool. Getting to stay there. We were sleeping in rooms that are designed to accommodate 12 people, and you had 2 or 3 people in a room, so you weren't
Yeah, lots
exactly
of
short
space.
on space. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, no, that sounds like a blast, man. I'd love to do that.
And
Although-
how many participants in total? 100, 120?
82.
82.
Only 2 or 3 didn't show up though.
Only 2 or 3 didn't show up. They did have a lot of ROs. I think we had 40 people ROing the match because every stage had a scorekeeper, timekeeper, and at least 1 spotter. A lot of stages had 2 spotters.
And you definitely cross paths with my buddy Chuck.
Yes. Now that you've pointed out who Chuck is to me, Chuck was definitely an RO with Vicky on several of my stages.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, no, all the ROs were fantastic. The guys that ran it, Ryan and Chris, did a great job. Shooting with the American guys. So I shot with a bunch of sponsored shooters that were up from the States, and even they were impressed with the stages that we were shooting because this is apparently it was a well done match for people that have done this before.
Nice.
Good.
I also got a chance to hang out with Rob Furlong for a little bit, which was super cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
I'd love to
so-
go do his school that he puts on.
Yeah, I talked to him briefly about that. He's still running the school and he's still doing programs, but he's also working a bit with KDEX.
Yeah. I
Can
saw him
Sullivan's
do
go to
a
his
few.
school, or is his school the
The Rob
police and
Furlong
stuff on
Marksmanship Academy, and I believe they're in Alberta.
Yeah.
So he teaches long-range shooting, which is super cool. 'Cause, I mean, he's ex.
Well, he
if I-
held the record for
Yeah,
If I
the
get
record.
this
while.
wrong, he'll be mad at me, but I think he's a former PPCLI sniper. PPCLI? Nobody's going to correct me? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just know that he held the record for a while.
Yeah, he held the record for the longest kill in Afghanistan.
Yeah, longest confirmed or whatever.
Yeah, until the Brits took it from him.
Yeah, and only just, I believe.
Yeah, it wasn't by very much, 100 yards or something.
Yeah.
He was super cool. Not at all the kind of guy I was expecting. He was very quiet, almost kind of like shy, which I wasn't really expecting from like seeing his stuff on YouTube and like having seen interviews with him. I was expecting he would.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's some controversy that followed him around for a little bit, I guess, for some stuff that he said, if I recall correctly.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I mean, he was super relaxed. He was very, because I went up to him, I said, "Oh hi, I just wanted to say hi and talk to you for a minute," and because he was actually spotted one of my stages for me. And
Nice.
I said, I wanted to thank you for coming out of the KDEX booth to do that and, spending time on the scope. And he's like, "Oh yeah, what's your name? Where are you from?" And he wanted to know all about me. And meanwhile, I'm like trying to thank
Find out all about
he does for the community, right?
You should get him on the show.
I would love to get him on the show. He was super cool to chat with. I also talked to the guy that owns KDEX, Sean's boss. Patrice was really cool. They gave away a rifle. That was great of them.
Yeah, but wasn't it like the guy that won it works for them?
Yes, the guy that won it was one of their sponsor shooters.
Yeah, I call shenanigans.
I don't know. I shot with their sponsor shooters because they were the guys from Quebec. The way that some of the prizes worked were as stage aggregates. So if you did well on a certain set of stages,
you'd get something.
Yeah, I think it was a KDEX, Desert Tech, and I want to say it was Prairie Gunworks was the other one, but I could be wrong. That one might have been the draw. But if you did well on the stages that they sponsored, then you got the rifle.
Yeah,
nice.
Which was, it was very cool. So I talked to Patrice for a while. I talked to him about what KDEX does, and they do a bunch of stuff other than guns that I didn't know about, which was kind of cool. We talked a bunch about guns because it's a gun thing. So that was good times. They also had the Prairie Gunworks there that provides the Coyote and another rifle to the Canadian Forces. So I actually talked to their sales rep for a while about their guns. Desert Tech gave away a rifle. Vortex was sponsoring it, but I didn't see anything from them except for swag. There was mouse pads and hats and that sort of stuff. There was who makes the Big Sky 3? Citron. Citron gave away a scope. Citron gave away a Big Sky S3.
Nice.
Met the guy that owns Gretsch Outdoors. He was giving away a bunch of stuff. I met the guys that own Cortax Solutions.
Who, John?
Yeah, John Gretsch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's up in Mount Forest.
Yeah, very cool dude. I ran into him in a parking lot randomly while we were waiting on instruction one morning, and we just started chatting because everybody's super social.
Right on.
Yeah, so it was very cool. I learned a ton. I did super badly, but you know what? I learned a bunch, so it was cool.
Oh, and this sounds like a good time, man. I'm kind of really kicking myself for not kind of being in the loop on that. I would have definitely loved to have participated.
Yeah, it was super fun. It was a little bit pricey for the weekend. I mean, you probably could get away without rations and quarters, although there's certainly something to be said for the camaraderie of not living with the guys, but everybody being in the same place for the entire match.
Yeah. But if I was in on it, then I would have known in advance that you were in on it, and then I also wouldn't have been out of town like I was on last weekend.
For sure.
And then my place would have been open to you as well. So
I'm quite happy to stay on the base and eat Army food. Meaford's actually not that bad of a mess as Army bases go in Canada.
He politely refuses.
Don't worry, Tyler.
Next time.
I will gladly stay at Fort Gerard anytime that you offer it.
Yeah, Fort Gerard's sweet. It's well defended.
Yeah. Well, next year we'll stay at your place. This year, I mean, I didn't mind staying at on base.
Well, it'll be even more well defended when we show up and spend the weekend.
Right.
But yeah, if all those guys are shooting 6 or 6.5, that's going to be a pretty pricey match on top with the ammo. Although,
I've seen that, even my 308 precision rounds, they're over $1 a round, reloaded.
Yeah. Well, luckily, when I was at the range today, a guy gave me a bunch of 338 projectiles.
Nice.
I guess he randomly bought them thinking they were 38s for the revolver that he was running.
What?
And he's like, do, do you reload? Do you want these? I look over and I see that they're 338s. I'm like, yeah, I'll take those.
So,
So,
boy, ammo prices these days have really gone up, eh?
yeah. I have no idea how he screwed it up, but yeah, he thought they were like whole cartridges when they were just 338 projectiles.
Wow. All right. Well, good for you.
Yeah.
Speaking of ammo prices, we should do a group buy for projectiles.
Yeah.
Should get a little thing going.
Let the listeners in the area in on that since
Yep.
we're doing the show.
Definitely.
All right. Check the Facebook. We'll figure something out. We'll put it on.
I'm talking
Facebook.
like buy 25,000, 30,000 at a time, or 100, 120,000 at a time.
Yeah.
Get a discount of $1 or $2.
Yeah, $2, $3 the next morning.
Terrible. Terrible. All right, let's talk about Marty's AR-15 problems.
Oh yeah, continuation on. Based from our tangent from a couple episodes ago, where you ended up leaving into the episode. So.
You enjoyed that?
What's that?
I enjoyed that. I thought it was funny.
All right. So I think the last update we had was I was going to try and shim the pin on the Phase 5 bolt release and try and get the slop out of it so it would catch the PMags. And that worked a little bit in that it would lock back like kind of 2 out of 10 maybe, but nowhere near reliable. So I tried using a stock one as well. That one didn't work. That's the one that came in sort of the spikes kit that I got, lower part kit. So I ended up going with ordering from Brownells a 9mm bolt catch, which is got the extended bolt catch on it, and then cut it down to size.
Yeah.
And so that worked entirely in terms of I could cut it to the right size to match the Gen 3 PMags, and it was reliable, but I couldn't put an extended mag release on it. If I put a bad lever on it, it pushed the whole bolt release out because of the frame thickness of the billet receiver. So if I put a bad lever on it, the bolt wouldn't cycle through because it would just jam up on the bolt catch. So I either had the 9mm with where it would lock back reliably, but I couldn't run a extended bolt release, or I can go back to like the Phase 5 and not have it lock back. So I ended up going back to the Phase 5. I had it shimmed in the pin, and I also ended up going with a shim behind the bolt catch, in between the bolt catch and the frame. So I kind of measured out with feeler gauge. I had about 10 thou of slop in there. I put a 5 thou piece of brass shim stock kind of captured in between the frame and the bolt catch to keep it from rocking back and forth. And that seems to have solved the problem. So just shimming the fuck out of it so it has no slop anywhere in the bolt catch.
Have you tried
That's my solution.
just using a different set of receivers?
That would solve the problem as well. But this one was so cheap.
I wonder why.
I got such a good deal on it.
Yeah.
Is
It's like when everybody bought
from the
their
Northeast somewhere?
Yeah, everybody bought their $45 Northeastern Arms lowers, and then they wondered why, when they went to go throw the bolt catch in, that the roll pin just fell out the other end.
Yeah, it was manufactured somewhere in the Northeast. This is their matched billet set,
Yeah.
and this is their Z marked when they.
Oh yeah, I had 3 of those. I had 3 of those.
Well, I'm glad that you found a solution that involved.
I didn't have any of your
using
problems though.
shims.
They all worked fine.
It worked great except for the Gen 3 PMags I have. And like if I use a Gen 2 PMag or Gen 1, they're fine. It's just the Gen 3s when they change the geometry of the Gen 3s that just enough that it all the tolerances together cause it to fail.
So quit being a snob and run Gen 2s then. I don't.
I agree with that, except the fact that I want to. Everybody has Gen 3s, so I want to be able to run any mag that anybody tosses me, kind of thing.
Well, if I toss you anything, it'll be a Gen 2. I think I have like 20 Gen 2s. So does Andrew.
I have 2s and 3s in a box, and I don't separate them.
Yeah. No, why would you? Because my AR eats anything. Why would you want a picky AR? It sucks.
Right, see, that's why you shit
like
the fuck
yeah,
out of it, so now
you
it's
want
good.
you want to, it's your fighting rifle. It should digest anything you feed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
If
why
you put a 300 blackout in there, it better fire.
That's why I've spent like $200 on bolt catches and bolt releases and shit like that to find a solution that gets me to where I can run anything.
You spent $200 on replacing parts.
You could have bought
But you could have just bought a new loader for that. Okay.
Yeah, but now I have parts for my next AR.
I totally feel Marty's
good.
pain, because sometimes it's just like you're just so fucking stubborn that you have to make this work, that you don't want to start from scratch and admit defeat, that you have to see this through to the end. I get that.
Yes. And it's all Magpul's fault, really.
Yeah, naturally.
For what? For the bad lever? The bad lever is a stupid gimmick.
Do you not? Okay, here's a question for you other people on the class. Does anybody not run an extended bolt release?
I run standard mil-spec bolt release.
Really?
Yep.
Weirdo.
It's probably the only component in my whole gun that's not upgraded. There's nothing wrong with it. Leave it alone.
It works for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it works, and I could have ran the 9 whenever it worked like that.
Yeah.
But it's just like I hate having to swap hands.
Wait, you left-handed? What?
No, I'm right-handed, but like I hate having to to charge. So I like just being able to pull my left hand off and keep my hand on the side of the frame, and so I can charge with my left hand.
That's weird.
I'm not getting why your weapon hand would ever have to come off the gun, like in any circumstance.
So how are you holding the bolt catch and cycling the charging handle?
Oh, you mean to lock it to the rear?
Yeah.
Oh, well, if you're locking it to the rear, I mean, then obviously your threats are over and done with. Then what's the problem?
Yeah, but it's just inconvenient that way.
Oh, I'd rather keep my $45 and deal with the inconvenience.
Says the guy wearing a Magpul T-shirt.
Magpul makes good stuff. I actually just bought some more Magpul stuff from Wolverine this week. I jumped on the QD train. I got a QD sling, the MS4 sling, I think. I'm going to run that on my primary. Let's see what's up.
Is that the QD one where the QD is on both ends, like it quick detached to the centerpiece?
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that'd actually be kind of cool to run on my IUR, because I could QD like into the back of the receiver. I can QD into my CTR, or I can QD into the front on the forend. So if I want to run 2-point, I can.
Yeah.
Why would you not want to run 2-point? You should 2-point slings. 2-point slings.
We'll see. I'm still experimenting. We'll still kind of figure out what.
I don't know. For me, I just don't know if I would trust those QD things.
No, 2-point slings.
Yeah, but you can run the Magpul one. You can run as a single point or a 2-point.
No, don't. Okay, so that's your first. Don't run the Magpul one. Also get a good 2-point, like a Vickers.
Oh, the Vickers. This guy with his Vickers.
I'm telling you.
I'm just against Magpul.
Dozens of slings. And the Vickers sling works every time.
I actually, I've got the S&J Hardware Combat Patrol sling, which I'm very fond of. It kind of functions similar to the Vickers.
Only took you 72 weeks to get it, though, right?
No, I didn't buy them directly from SJ. I bought them from SFRC years ago, and I'm very happy with them. Actually, they're quite nice slings, but I don't think they sell them anymore. But Magpul makes some good stuff. Some of their stuff is stupid and gimmicky, and I pass on it. But they do make some good stuff.
They make some good stuff.
I've never had any reliability issues with them. Like, never had to deal with any of the stuff breaking. Seems to be well made. Stay away from the PTS stuff. It's made in Hong Kong.
Well, it's PTS. It's cheap for a reason, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But
even then, though,
I'm back to the Phase 5 bolt release, and I have to say, compared to the bad lever, because I've got them both here side by side, the Phase 5 is way better. Just the way it kind of extends out the other side of the frame just makes it a lot more convenient.
Yeah.
All right. I also want to remind our listeners that I shouldn't say that I am running a course at Guelph Rod and Gun Club on October 15th. That'll be the carbine operator course. The cost for that's going to be $200, taxes in. You can check that out on ragnaroktactical.ca. And now we're going to awkwardly transition into the news.
Well, that, and I'll be at the course, so
I'm gonna try and be there.
I'm gonna try and check that one out too, depending on what the weather's like.
and how well your AR is running and working with mags.
People like Marty are the reason why I want to get a hose for my courses.
Dude, I was actually just last week. I was talking to a guy about why rain is awesome. Like it rained constantly last year at TDSA Advanced Pistol 1. It rained all day from like 9:30 until the day concluded at like 4 or 5 o'clock. It was awesome. I got the most out of that training course, more out of that training course than any other like pistol work I've ever done before. It was incredible.
As long as my feet are dry, I'm good.
It's a Saturday. Waterfowl season is open at that point. If it's raining, I'm hunting. If it's a nice day where nothing's flying and it's fucking hot out, then I'll go and I'm at the course.
Well, whatever. I mean,
oh, there'll be hot things flying, hot brass everywhere.
Yeah.
120 rounds.
Yeah, 120. We only find 2 or 3 pieces of brass the next morning.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do my best to make the course. It's kind of up in the air, but I'm gonna really do my best to make it. I'll definitely. I'm not gonna, piggyback on it like I did last time. Like if I want to participate, then I'll have to pay my way. But if not, I'm just help you kind of police the line, clear guns, etc.
Cool.
Totally gonna run my SKS just to piss you off.
I swear to God, I will end you.
I've got 3 stripper clips.
Isn't it a requisite to have a detachable box mag?
Yeah, it is, and I'll kick him off my line.
Does he have an SKSD though? Because if you have an SKSD, you're good to go.
No, old school stripper clips.
Well, just get one of those Tapco mags and rip off the box mag.
I was gonna run that rifle I picked up off of you, Andrew. That's all right.
Yeah, it's fine.
Was that weird one with like no serial number?
That's the one.
That'd be the one. Yeah.
Nice.
It's nowhere near as weird as he made it out to be.
It's pretty weird.
Dude, I'll have to get some photos
of
the parlor gun that a friend of mine has. Like there is no serial number at all on it because this was before serial numbers were a thing. Like it's an old like.
Same with this one, yeah.
It's an old flintlock. Like it was designed for when like guys would retire to the parlor to smoke cigars and pipes. That you would shoot this gun inside at targets. That's why it's called a parlor gun.
That sounds like my cup of tea.
That's terrific.
Yeah, could you imagine though, like shooting black powder inside? Like how dirty that room's gonna get?
Be badass.
Hey,
yeah.
Did we ever talk about on the show? Did we ever talk on the show that dueling used to be an Olympic sport?
That's amazing.
No, but we need to bring that back, and not as an Olympic sport, just as something that happens regularly.
And it's legal.
It's total BS. Yeah, you can get 2 years for challenging somebody to a duel, and 2 years for accepting the challenge.
Yeah. You should get 2 years for not accepting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ended up looking this up during the Olympics, and so their dueling was an Olympic sport, and apparently it was like silhouette targets dressed up in like French coats.
Of course they were.
We need to bring that back. That needs to be a thing.
Yeah. We should start our own like counter Olympics. Because I was talking to Matt about how like the Olympics it's crap. It's stupid. But I would watch if one of the events was like a dude running with like a 60-pound bronze shield and a spear for like 12 miles. I would watch that.
Yeah.
Like what the actual Olympics used to probably be.
Yeah.
Something like that. Or like the Highland Games.
Yeah. It should be like legit feats of strength, not games.
We should bring it back.
Let's do bowling. We need bowling back in the Olympics.
Why not?
Yes.
Yeah.
Seriously, bowling was an Olympic sport?
I don't know if it was or if it was a friend like almost 1 year. I forget.
Yeah, bowling.
They have some
darts,
weird things.
Pool.
Yeah.
Bring all that back. Any sport that is traditionally conducted with a beer in one hand.
Darts is not allowed to. You're not allowed to have beer with darts anymore.
Oh man, you can't. It's like there's no. We got no sanctuary. Everything is ruined.
Somehow it was deemed a performance enhancer, so that they banned drinking with darts.
It's true though. It's so true.
Same with bowling though.
Yeah.
I used to bowl in a league, and my second game was always my best game, because the first one I hadn't had enough beer. The third game I'd had too much beer, so that second game was the sweet spot.
When you're in the zone, you're calm. No distractions. Smooth, crystal clarity, right on target.
Yeah. I used to play a lot of pool, and it was the same kind of thing for that.
Yeah.
When you're in tournaments, it was like you had to have once you had a pitcher, basically, it was enough to just take the edge off. Yeah. And you could play so much you could deal with the pressure a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, now that we totally screwed Andrew's segue, we should probably talk about the news.
Whatever.
The news. Oh, yeah, he said that a while ago.
It's good stuff, man. You can't edit this out. It's good stuff.
I can edit whatever the fuck I want. It's
Our
my
criticism
show.
of the Olympics needs to be heard.
That's
it's
a good
true,
point. I will leave
the Olympics do suck balls.
The Olympics are terrible. Hey, you know what makes the Olympics better is if you put a hip concert in the middle of them.
Yeah. Hey, at least he called out Trudeau on that. I can appreciate that.
Yeah, fine. All right. News. All right, follow-up from last week. There's actually somebody that's complaining about the air show this time. It's not some social justice warrior.
Wait, it's still a social justice warrior. It's just a different one.
It's a different social justice warrior, but this one recently returned from a combat zone. So somehow that makes them an expert on the air show being traumatic.
I mean,
These
how much
people
would
need to just fuck right off.
Social justice warrior convinced the second social justice warrior?
Yeah, they probably got paid. They're a shill of some sort.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. They're a filmmaker, and they go to war-torn places like Sri Lanka to make documentaries about, war-torn places. Come on. They clearly are an expert in this field.
Oh, wait, it wasn't like a former military person that came back? It's just somebody that was there for a week?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
How about if you feel that the air show might be triggering, don't fucking go to the air show. It's 3 days a year. That's it.
Also, I'm going to say this.
Problem solved.
If you've gone there as a documentary person, don't come back and pretend that you have experienced PTSD and have experienced being shot at and all that kind of shit.
Dude, that you're holding them to way too high of a standard. We've got journalists that claim to experience PTSD after firing an AR-15.
Yeah, and that other journalist that was shot at by snipers while he was in a helicopter.
Oh, you mean Williams?
Yeah.
What the hell? Brian Williams. Brian Williams. Yeah.
Not the Beach Boy, the other Brian Williams.
Yeah. The douchebag one. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw him report live from Clondathu too once.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just so disrespectful to our soldiers, though.
Well, seriously, do they think that people are so weak that they can't fucking handle an air show? Honestly.
That is exactly the premise of the argument made by, and I'm going to make this echo later, Maya Bastien? I don't know.
Hold on.
Honestly.
At least
honestly.
he's not a middle-aged white man with giant black glasses this week.
His last name is...
Here's his name. I gotta read this name.
Here's the thing that I think about with this. My grandfather was a World War II pilot, shot down over Germany, went through the whole Great Escape in Stalag 3 and shit like that. He's the one that took me to air shows as a kid.
Oh, yeah. So
he's the one that that was the guy that experienced it more as much as anybody could.
Yeah, and he probably loved it going back.
Right. He's like, hey, look at this shit that I used to work in and do and experience.
Yeah.
My grandfather was a radar operator, navigator on a Lancaster bomber, and he loved the air show.
Dude,
That's
Probably because he
because
relived
our
his fondest memories
grandparents-
Yeah.
of killing the enemies of this country. But
Exactly. Our grandparents were not giant pussies.
I know, but they
But
raised
this
giant
filmmaker-
pussies.
Well, no, they didn't. There's no way that this person's
Yeah. No. Our grandparents didn't because we all want the air show. His grandparents.
I would love to know more about this this particular. I'm not even going to say journalist. This particular writer's past.
Journalist
so
definitely
fucked.
echoes.
Yeah, journalist echoes. Excellent. Yeah, 'cause, she's billed as a Toronto writer and filmmaker.
Okay, that echoes.
There we
Oh
go.
my God.
Yeah, the whole
It's like a
thing's so
continuous
ridiculous.
feedback loop right there.
But
Yeah.
like, how many of her grandparents fought Nazis? That's the thing I want to.
Oh, I know.
would like to find that out. How many of her grandparents parachuted into Germany to stab Nazis? None of them, because I'm betting it was none of them.
Yeah, I mean, my grandparents met in the RAF up in Tain, in like northern Scotland. They used to go for dates on top of the hill while the bombers were practicing bombing runs, bombing the shit out of stuff in the valley. Like they'd have a picnic blanket set up and they'd be like eating sandwiches and shit while planes were coming in and bombing the fuck out of the ground. That was a date for them.
Yeah.
Well, that's because
To the day my grandmother died, yeah, she wore a Spitfire pin on her her collar everywhere.
Just what gets me about this whole thing is, we talked about this the first time around, and that the person that's bitching and moaning, complaining about this isn't a refugee.
No, they're just worried about what the refugees think when that's not even the case.
The camp is this group of like cat ladies that like have nothing else to care about but try and mother a group of refugees and try and shelter them. Reality is like the refugees, if they're legit and they're actually coming from a war zone, they're better equipped to handle like anything like to a greater extent than what like your basic sheltered urbanite Canadian is. This person or this group of people that is saying we can't have an air show with like military aircraft or whatever, like they just need to be chucked out of a helicopter. I mean, like we have no use for these people.
We'll give them an air show.
Like the refugees don't care. Like they'll just not go. I'm like the refugees aren't bitching about this, and it's like it gets me for two reasons. Like, number one, it's just like these people have nothing better to do, and it also like upsets me because like they're obviously like they're getting some kind of living out of it. They're like being professional, like victim. It's like they're professional, like altruists. Like they have to mother other people. And then the other thing too is that like when these people come up and say, oh, we can't have air shows because of refugees, then it like also produces like undue hatred towards the refugees, which they've never said anything negative about the air show.
Yeah.
Which is I'm trying not to swear here, but I really want to.
If anything, they should go to the air show and experience the freedom that is awesome of having planes fly overhead.
Yeah, look at a Lancaster or a Spitfire and understand that these were the things that allowed us to not speak German today.
Well, I voluntarily learned how to speak German, but
that you don't have to speak German.
Yeah.
Or
Italian
or
or
Japanese,
thing, right?
I guess. Yeah.
It's just like, okay, you come from a country where like the warplanes are all like wielded by your dictator. Well, now you're here, and these warplanes are here to protect you. Like, how fantastic is that?
Wow.
I mean, to me, these are, a lot of these refugees, they're very strong people that have made their way out of that situation and fought their way out of that situation. And I hate that we are painting them as like these weak people that can't handle the sound of an airplane.
Yeah.
Like, that's unfair to them to be painted as these like.
Yeah,
I know.
But I object to your use of the pronoun we. Like nobody except like these like cat ladies are doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
you're right. Yeah.
It is ridiculous. I mean, my father was a refugee at one point. Like, he escaped communist Albania. He was shot at and then had to, like, run through the woods where they were, like, hunting him down with dogs. And he survived all of that to get here. Do you think he complains about people that have guns or dogs or air shows or anything? No. Because he was strong enough to get through that, a plane flying overhead doesn't freak him out. Yeah. Like,
should we close the Toronto airport?
Oh, totally. I mean, that's going to
You
be
can-
traumatic.
You can hear planes and see planes flying all over the place.
Yeah.
It should also be noted that like the refugees that we got in Canada, like at least the first round, they were people that already had like sponsors and stuff. You know, the ones that Trudeau bought like Canada Goose jackets for with your money. We got the Gucci refugees. We didn't get like the war refugees. We didn't get the real refugees.
We should come back to that in a future episode because
Yeah,
I have a theory about how we can solve the refugee crisis, and yes, I'm going to make that echo too.
Oh yeah, it's called sink the boats, and then none will come.
No, we'll do it on a future episode.
Okay.
I have an idea.
Well, I feel like now I need to fully articulate my position because now that one half makes me sound like an ass.
I'll just cut this out of the edited version. That's fine. Let's talk about Soldiers of Odin.
Sink the boats, and then also stay the hell out of their affairs, and everything will work itself out. No one parachuted in to help Europe solve its woes. Nobody parachuted into North America to solve our issues. You work themselves out. You build stable societies. You don't need
we weren't
outside
actively
interference.
fucking up the Europe situation at the same time, though, either.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Although
Stay the hell out.
North Koreans, they parachute out into our shit.
Wolverines, baby. Wolverines.
I need more ammo for this. All right, let's talk about Soldiers Vote, and this one comes to us from the Conservative Broadcast. No, wait, that's not right. The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. That's
Communist Broadcast Corporation?
that one too. So, I don't know if that part about the refugees is going to make it into the edited version, but apparently Soldiers of Odin has been dubbed an extreme anti-refugee group. And hey, they're in a town near you, like Edmonton.
Neighborhood Watch, you mean?
Neighborhood Watch, that's how I read this.
But
That's really all they are.
I don't know. I have issues with them using that name, and like, I have no problem with a group of people doing neighborhood watch. I think that's a good thing. I think people should watch out for their neighbors and build communities and local communities. I think that's an excellent thing, and more communities should do that. My problem is, and especially because it's probably taken off from like the groups in like Sweden and everything, that are using like that whole Norse mythology and like, oh, we're white, we're gonna go after the brown people. That I have a problem with.
So you're saying your big issue is with the cultural appropriation of the...
Not even that. They're using that as like, I mean, just like the Nazis corrupted Norse mythology, and you've got, all of them. Oh, look at us and our like Viking unit and this and that and everything else, and using all this symbology to go, or symbolism, to like buy into that, and to this day you still get these hate groups that are using that stuff, and I don't like it, because then when people use it in an appropriate manner, you get lumped into that same group as all these racists. So like, and going after, strictly refugees when they haven't necessarily done anything is a problem. Like, you should be going after shitheads, whether they're native born or immigrants or refugees. If they're shitheads, you should take them out of the pictures. End of story.
Agree, yeah.
Well, there are two things here. The original Soldiers of Odin, they started in Finland, and it's kind of interesting because like the Norse mythology was never really a thing in Finland except for like the Swedish colonists.
Right.
Like the Finnish have their own kind of mythological structure, but it was always like it wasn't really like necessarily a race thing. It was a counter-Islam thing. And okay, like generally speaking, like adherents to Islam are usually not white, but it was always supposed to be like a defense against like the rapes and like the abuse and the muggings and stuff like that came with the uncontrolled like immigration and stuff like that. It never really felt like it had the overt like racial harassment that you're kind of implying, and obviously like the people who are going to like join up in that type of thing, like you're going to get those people, like of course
for
you
sure.
are, right? Of course you are.
But I mean, part of my also the problem I have with this is then it like all those shitbags over in the Middle East that are coming over, they're trying to make it a religious war. And by starting up, like, Sons of Odin, which could be construed as a sort of religious organization, because Odinism, Asatru, is a religion, you're sort of buying into that and going, okay, it is, so it's going to be us versus you rather than all of us non-assholes versus you that is an asshole, right?
Well, I
have to
have
have a pretty in-depth debate about how Asatru works, I think, for that. Because then you get into, like, heathenry in general and Odinism in
for sure.
particular.
Yeah.
Are we talking about folkish heathenry or something else?
And there's a lot of that, but
there are parts of heathenry where they say that you should be of that particular ancestry, but there are other groups that say we don't care where you're from as long as you believe in our gods. And I'm not proposing that we get into that debate about which particular sect of neo-paganism we support.
But I will say that, like, when you have two groups, like two population groups, the population group that expresses in-group preference will prevail over the population group that doesn't. So for like the Islamists to express like an in-group preference to propagate Islam, and then for the other population to not do that and not recognize that it is a religious conflict, then they will lose. Like, just straight up, just watch the demographic trends for a few years before you admit that you're wrong if you disagree with me. I don't really care how long it takes you to do that, but that's what's happening.
And I mean, like, and I certainly do have issues with a lot of the stuff that comes out of Islam. Like, I do. I have a lot of problems with all religion, to be honest, but there are certainly some things that I do not like about it. But I just hate when people start going, like, and looking at every brown person and going, bad. And I think that's part of the problem when you start.
No, that's a stupid way to go about it. But the fact of the matter is like, okay, we've had the Soldiers of Odin kind of in Europe and in Canada. Okay, they wrote some stupid article about it however long ago, but we've had them in Canada for 2 years. Have they done anything? Have they gone around beating people up for no reason? Have they done anything wrong?
No. Not that we've heard of anyways,
So what's the problem?
No, but this gives people like from Chaudhary that works for the CBC somebody to point to and go, look at the racists. Look at how racist they're being.
It's really no different than what they do to the gun owners. They're always trying to point the finger at like low-hanging fruit that people are readily willing to accept as the villain.
Yeah, and that's why I wish they would sort of take the sort of Odinist thing out of it and just call themselves Neighborhood Watch, because that's what makes it easier to make it a racial divide. Because you've got a group that's predominantly going to be white that'll associate with it versus a group of people that are going to predominantly be brown, and it's gonna cause.
There's always, like, within these groups, there's always the fucking idiot that's willing to talk to the CBC as well.
And exactly, and it's always gonna be that dude with, like, the shaved head and, like,
CBC definitely echoes.
Yeah, and they're gonna find the worst person. They'll interview 100 people and find the most racist person with the shaved head and, like, the combat.
Well, that'll be the one you'll have, like, the cuts where they, like, zoom in on his tattoos and stuff.
Yeah. Exactly, like,
when they have the ominous music that plays as they, like, pan in, like, in slow-mo.
They have to have a villain for people like Chaudhary because they're the good guy.
Well, if it was me, they'd probably put a voiceover and show this, right? Like,
for sure.
It won't be me talking, but they'll have me with some other dickhead's voice over me.
Yeah.
So and that's what I don't like about it. Like, I'm not saying that they're necessarily doing bad things because I haven't heard anything about it. I just think that it buys into that whole racial war thing that they're trying to start, and
who do you mean by they?
Islamic terrorists.
Yeah. Okay. Just
right.
to be clear.
And
I'm
as well.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And, like, and that's what I hate about it is that if we start making it, and it's the same with the Christians that are like, we're bringing the Crusades back. They're turning it into a religious war by returning that, right? Rather than just going, no, you're an asshole, and you need to be put down because you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
you're not an asshole because you're Muslim. You're an asshole because you're an asshole.
But as soon as you start going, oh, we're Christians, so we're going to take up the sword and take out these, Muslims, that's when it becomes a problem, I find, because I would rather, like, the good Muslims, the Jews, the Christians, the heathens, the pagans, the atheists, the everything else versus the assholes, because then we'll win.
Nah, dude, like, okay, first of all, that's never going to happen.
No,
Absolutely not.
but
it's never going to happen.
But if we're gonna LARP about a lot of things, I can LARP about this.
No, because each one of those individual in-groups have like different ideas of what constitutes an asshole.
Oh, totally. But I mean, I'm talking in an ideal situation here.
Nah,
right?
it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You're talking about a situation where it's almost like a Canadian American European Christian centric perspective, where like we kind of have this like vague cultural Christianity, but we don't like seriously practice it.
Yeah, except when we get our vacation time, because
Yeah.
if you take away my Christmas break, I'm gonna be angry.
Yeah, but like nobody seriously practices Christianity, like
No.
by and large. Like it's very very small percentage of people in
Yeah, they're the Christmas and
countries.
Easter Christmas and
Yeah.
Easter Christians.
Yeah,
That's-
very
Basically,
very,
our cultural morality is based on Judeo-Christian values.
yes,
Exactly.
but my point is that like that we're the outlier, right? And
Yeah.
we try and like operate thinking that other people are like us, right? And that's why like the West like consistently fails to understand Islam, and our policy consistently fails in the Islamic world, and why we consistently have problems with Islamic immigration and dealing with demographic enclaves in our societies is because we treat them like they're the same as us. Like we treat them like they think the same way as we do, but they're different people and they have different culture. They're totally different. It doesn't work that way. Like they don't deal with their religion the same way white people deal with their kind of like latent Christianity. Like for them, it's not a latent religion; it's a serious way of life.
Oh, for sure. No, I agree with that. I mean, even the Orthodox Christians don't seem to be as orthodox as like the hardcore, Islamics and everything. And even the Orthodox Jews seem to be not quite as devout, if you will.
Well, even then, you get extremes, right? You get Orthodox Jews
for
that
sure.
get on a plane and then they ask to be reseated because they can't be seated next to a woman. They're like oy veying like super hard because they just can't be within that like same geographic proximity to a woman who's not his wife.
Yeah, and I mean, I was actually watching an interview with Penn Jillette not too long ago, and he kind of put it in really good perspective, and he was like, the odds of a terrorist being Islamic is super high, but the odds of someone that just believes in Islam being a terrorist, not as high.
Well, yeah. What was funny, like, it actually reminds me of like a study that like people who read like the Huffington Post like to like bring this up all the time, and that like if you're in America, you're like just as many people have been killed by like white terrorists as like Islamic terrorists. But that study ignored two things. Number one, it ignored 9/11, and number two, it ignored like proportions, like in that like white Americans are 2/3 of America, and like Islam is like 1%.
I mean, they're using it with those numbers. They're going to put in the Oklahoma City bombing, which was actually planned by the Iraqis. There's a little Easter egg for anyone that wants to dig into that.
But that's so funny too, because like the internet, you can find any conclusion you want on the internet.
Yeah. Listen to my shock about the left manipulating the data to prove their narrative.
I know, and like we brought this up exactly on the last episode of my podcast. It's like they do all kinds of funky math to make their narrative work. And there are no exceptions to that rule.
Yeah, like in a country that's banned guns, they go, look at the gun violence, it's gone down. But then they don't bother to look at like knife violence and beatings and everything going up. But gun violence is zero.
But what they do is they selectively control the data. So when they give you the data for the United States, they include suicides and legitimate homicides and legitimate police shootings. That's what I mean. Legitimate
Yeah,
homicide is justified homicide, right?
Or
So
like
you have-
accidental
Yeah,
like
yeah.
hunting
Yeah.
incidents.
Yeah,
that-
so you get accidents,
Yeah.
justified police shootings, justified civilian shootings, and suicide lopped in that figure. But then when when a country where they need to like try and prove that gun control works, then they exclude those numbers. Like they control
Yeah.
for those numbers. So you always have to watch for that.
Oh yeah, but then they don't ever include the beatings or knifings or stranglings.
That too, right? I had a great conversation, and by great conversation I mean argument that I won with a friend of mine years ago. Where it came just down to that, and I tried to articulate successfully that people stab and beat each other in the UK way more often than what happens in Canada, and Canada has way looser gun control than they do in the UK.
Oh yeah,
right, and the
although
data is right
you can
there.
have a silencer in the UK on your shotgun,
Yeah, well,
So
which would be pretty nice.
John Lott's More Guns, Less Crime kind of goes through that and looks at the UK data specifically as well. Great resource for this, kind of for exactly what we're talking about right now, like where you kind of point out the holes and the manipulation of the data in the data sets.
And even Australia, I mean, like they say that like mass shootings have gone down ever since they like bulldozed over all of their guns, but they also changed the criteria of what a mass shooting is at that same time.
Yeah.
So that's going to skew your numbers right there. If all of a sudden to qualify as a mass shooting, it's got to be 10 people instead of 3.
Yeah, well, I remember, like, I can't remember if it was in the book or if it was something that he presented live when I saw John Lott, but he looked at the UK data, and it was like, after they banned guns, like, previously to them banning guns, violent crime rate was, like, steadily declining, like it was pretty well everywhere else in the world. And once they banned guns, it completely reversed and spiked for like 6 or 7 years. And then they increased police funding, basically. They like doubled police funding, hired a shit ton more police, and cracked down on policing. And then the violent crime rate started decreasing at that point. And so it's like it's been decreasing since that point as they've put a lot more money into police. It's like it has... Basically, there was a huge lag between where they actually sort of banned guns to where they actually started seeing the decrease in crime. And his whole conclusion was that the two were completely disjointed. That banning the guns actually caused the spike and the reversal of the trend, and it was the increased funding to police that actually decreased the crime rate.
Probably giving cops guns, equalized it. Yeah.
All right, let's go into the next one from the National Post, and yes, that echoes too.
National Post.
Sudbury woman 76 faces investigation after fatally shooting a black bear bothering a young mother. As far as I'm concerned, this is a non-story, or at least it should be a non-story.
Should she have just wounded the bear instead? Would that have been better?
Yeah.
Strong language should have been used to discourage this bear from being in a residential area.
This wouldn't even have been a story if it had been a polar bear.
I see what you did there, and I like it.
Well done, Marty. High five.
Yeah, I mean, what did they expect her to do? Like, hey, bear, take off, eh? Like, that's not going to work.
Well, I have a number of issues with this story. Okay, so the fact that this elderly woman is the only person being charged with one of the 8 bears that were killed in the greater Sudbury region in the past week. That's my first thing. The second thing I got is against the National Post because they go out of their way in the middle of another sentence to point out that this particular 76-year-old woman is of Native Canadian ancestry. Like, that somehow makes a difference.
I'm surprised they even bring that up, though, then. Like,
same.
I think if that was the case, it'd be like, I'm not going to touch this with a 10-foot pole because that could just make all kinds of problems. Like,
agreed, yeah.
I mean, she could have been hunting that without a license and without a gun license or anything and totally been in the clear. If it was on, like, native land or whatever, I'm just going to like, nope. That's over there. Everything's fine. We're not even going to talk about this. We're not even going to look at her or anything to do with this. Just ignore it. Like every other shooting of a bear that's happened in that area.
And I'm surprised.
This is the one they make an issue of. Like,
That's right. I'm surprised they make an issue of it, and I'm surprised the National Post goes out of their way to use hyphens in the middle of a sentence to say that it. So they're talking about like the fact that it took 2 shots for this woman to take down the bear because the first one missed, and in the middle of the sentence, they insert that she's of native ancestry. Like that is somehow relevant to the shooting.
Well, they're trying
Did they put it in quotations?
It's almost like a disclaimer because her actual last name is Finnish, and they need to clarify that the woman in question is native, and therefore like their use of guns is legitimate because.
Well, no, they go out of their way to do that further on in the sentence after they explain her not. I guess it must be her husband that's Finnish based on her last name. How do you say that? Sekoinen?
Sekoinen. I don't know. I'm not an expert, but that sounds about right.
Yeah. So she's. How do you say what particular variety of Native Canadian she is?
Who cares? Let's just move on.
Yeah. Well, no,
it really is irrelevant. I mean,
nobody on the panel knows how to correctly pronounce it. Let's just plow past it.
I could make up something different than Tyler made up, but
I would rather we just not turn this into a podcast where we intentionally mispronounce things, guys.
Can I intentionally pronounce things? Okay, so her name is Native. Her maiden name is something else, and then they close the sentence with, "who has done a fair amount of hunting."
Yeah.
Why is any of that relevant? What,
and like,
why have they gone out of their way to make any of that relevant?
Yeah.
What's that, Marty?
The fact they make a big deal about it taking multiple shots, like that, black bear is not something that I've hunted, but from what I understand, that's not uncommon for it to take a follow-up shot. They're a pretty large animal.
Yeah, and if it was in a situation where it was coming after me or my family or my friends, or even a stranger that I don't like, well, moderately don't like, I'm probably gonna make sure that if I shoot it, it's gonna be dead. Like,
yeah.
Otherwise, what's the point? Like, if you're gonna just take a shot at it and wound it, it's just gonna be pissed off and probably more angry.
And oftentimes that second shot is, for mercy. It's to speed up the passing.
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're forced to kill that animal. That's not something you want to do, and you want to end it as quickly and as humanely as possible. So you're gonna make that second shot.
Well, yeah, especially in a situation where, like, you're not hunting and you've got time to line up your shot and do your, breathing and this and that and go for, like, a kill zone. If it truly is a self-defense situation like this sounds like it is, you're going to probably shoot as quickly as possible.
Yeah, you're not placing that.
Yeah, just to get the thing to fuck off or at least stop so that you can put a second shot on it to kill it.
Right. I don't know. It seems like a non-story to me, really.
Yeah,
it really is, and I know like half the people in the comments section. So the Gunny's got this one under control.
Sounds like this old lady's got everything under control too. Like she took that bear out. Good on her.
She married a Finnish dude, so I mean that's pretty cool.
Wow.
Dude, every Finnish person I know is missing at least one digit.
From fucking around with their lawnmowers, probably.
Yeah, I know one guy who's missing a thumb, another guy's missing his index finger. They're adventurous people.
Yeah. You gotta come to some of these agri shows that I go to, man. Like, you get farmers that come up and they're all like, "Oh, hey," and they're like, half their hand is missing, or like they've all got a finger missing from fucking around with farm machinery.
Get one guy at my gun club. He's missing the tip of his index finger. He's not Finnish, but he shoots his pistol with his middle finger as his trigger finger.
There you go.
Yeah.
I can't say that my experience has mirrored yours. I used to have a lot of Finnish people where I work, and they all seem to have all of their digits.
Give it time. Just give it time.
Yeah. They do make excellent pancakes, though. Like, they're really thin ones, like crepes, but they call them pancakes because they're not French, and they are fantastic.
Great story.
Yep.
They are. If you don't believe me, go to Thunder Bay, where like the majority of the population is Finnish, and there are pancake joints everywhere, and they're awesome.
I don't know if that's factually accurate.
It is.
I
It totally
don't care
is.
if that's factually accurate.
It's
Moving
not.
on.
The majority of the population isn't Finnish, but it's the largest population of Finns outside of Scandinavia.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Same
the largest
difference.
concentration of Finns.
Yeah, and their pancakes are excellent. That is factual.
That I believe, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go to this one from the CTV News. An Ontario man is suing over electricity charges for a cottage without power.
Yeah, that was bullshit.
Right?
Anybody shocked by it though?
No.
Well, what's he complaining about? He's going to get less taxes now for that.
We'll talk about the less taxes
Yeah.
next week. But the whole 8 months with
That's
no
a whole show
power
in
at his
itself.
cottage,
And still gets a bill that he has to pay something
and he
for.
still gets a bill. Yeah, 8 months, no power, still gets a bill.
Yeah.
My roads. Who would build my roads? Because clearly our government is competent.
Where we're
The
going,
government
we don't
would
need
charge
any
you for
roads.
services not rendered, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that are without government, who would neglect the roads?
Yeah. I don't know. Anybody shocked by this? I'm not.
No.
Not at all.
No, I hope this guy wins, and I really wish he would have sued them for more than $7,000.
Okay, let me pose you a question. Let me make this topic go from funny to interesting. What happens if he doesn't win?
Nothing.
Is that
Then Win realizes that she doesn't have to like cut her taxes and she can increase more, and like if you don't even use a service you still have to pay for it.
Well, like I was talking with Matt on my podcast about gun control, and
What podcast is that?
I'm not gonna. It was in the beginning of the episode. Just move the cursor back if you care. But I was talking to him, and he was saying something along the lines of like, if the people are unwilling to do anything about it, then the fate that they get is what they deserve.
Yeah.
And with the Hydro One abuse that we're dealing with in Ontario, it's exactly the same scenario. Like if this guy. Like, this guy is like, Joe Everyman. Okay, sure. Not everybody can afford a cottage, but this guy can, whatever. But he's still like a probably a good and decent person, a tax-paying citizen, probably not like a drug-dealing piece of shit or whatever. We should all stick by him. We should all stand by him. And if this guy, if they're going to try and stick him with the charges, we should go burn Hydro One like HQ down to the ground. Like I'm speaking figuratively. Of course, I would never advocate such a thing. But I would definitely be happy if it happened. I will say that.
That would be the fourth box when it comes to Hydro One.
Yeah, but exactly. Like my point is that these things will continue to happen until the population demonstrates that they will not tolerate it continuing to happen.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
So-
if you put up with it, then you're going to get more of the same.
So today, the premier made her big speech thing, and we'll talk about it next week. But I'll tell you something. Leading up to it, there were some rumors that like she was possibly going to be stepping down today, and I was actually concerned about that. Like, I did not want her to step down because I was afraid of what happened when McGuinty stepped down. When McGuinty stepped down, all of the shit that had happened was blamed. Well, that was him. This is me.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I was concerned that if she stepped down and somebody else took over, they could blame all of this shit on her.
Yeah.
And let it fall off of their back. So I'm glad that she stayed on for the simple reason of that this will all be pinned on her still come election time next.
But you know what? That doesn't even matter. I mean, it really doesn't matter. Like the size of the public sector in Ontario, and then given the proportion of people that actually vote in this province, like they own every election. Like it's already over the cliff. It's done.
Well, yeah. I mean, they like if you look at like who's their biggest contributor, like it's the Landlord Association of Ontario, right? And look at all the stupid shit that's happened with like tenants' rights and everything else. They get fucked, but the landlords have all these fucking things going for them now, and you wonder why. Oh, because they're the ones that contribute the most amount of money.
Well, I would disagree. I would say as a landlord, I mean, shit, you can't throw anybody out. I would say landlords get screwed, but
And there are certainly some instances where they do. Don't get me wrong, but like, I mean, they're the biggest contributor to the Liberal Party. So I mean, they certainly get some benefits out of that. when
I
you
think
look at it.
we should explore that. Like
Financial
in,
contributor, but
yeah,
not
we
necessarily
should.
voting.
Well, we should explore that in depth, like not
Definitely.
just the landlords, but like the auto manufacturers, like where are the
Oh, for
concessions,
sure.
where are the kickbacks going? We could do not just a whole episode. You could do a whole podcast on that.
That's a
Oh,
podcast, and
yeah.
we have documented proof that
Oh
the
yeah.
people who talk to Win are the people that support Win, and they're the people that get whatever the government
Yeah.
handouts are for whatever
I mean-
services need to be provided. Because when you have a $2,000 a plate dinner, and the only people that show up are people that are like the people that run unions or the people that run other organizations, and they're the people that talk to Win, and then Win gives them big fat government contracts the following week. It's
Right.
not hard to connect the dots.
I think
Well,
Gavin brings up an excellent point in that the lackeys of the governing party aren't limited to just public sector employees. There's the private sector that get favorable treatment through regulation.
Well, and isn't like the whole like autism thing that happened with Win, where she cut funding for autistic children and basically fucked a bunch of kids that were in the program, and like it was her partner that was supposed to like pick up that program and head that program up. Like, how the fuck does that happen? Like,
Because it's not nepotism when the government does it.
Yeah, you ask
Oh.
how does that happen? Well,
if you're not
I can
related,
tell you how it happens.
if you're not related by blood, it's okay. Like, so you fuck a bunch of kids out of getting some funding that they probably need, and then your partner is the company that picks up where that goes and gets all that money. Like,
and then
hold on a second.
and then the private alternative that picks up the contract.
Yeah.
They gouge the government because they know the government's stupid and will pay whatever, and
Yeah.
then the government then blames capitalism on the cost getting out of control. And
But
then
it's
that
not really capitalism because there was only
Yeah.
one person that got to bid on the contract.
single bidder. The government blames
Yeah.
capitalism, and then they justify that as like saying we
Yeah.
have the evidence now. We need more government control.
Yeah.
That's how this works, and that's why I said like this isn't going to change. They own every election. They own the public sector unions, and they own the private sector where the regulation passed by government gives them a competitive advantage.
Yep.
This will not end until we run out of money, and we've already run out of money. Excuse me. This will not end until our credit is no good.
Yeah, which is going to be soon if we're already like $1 trillion in fucking debt and growing.
Yeah, so it's almost as if we should continue voting liberal because that'll be the quickest path to get us to that point.
I've
Because
had that debate with people before. The sooner that we get this over and done with, the sooner
better.
we can fix it.
I want to be fighting age when the money runs out.
Yeah, but give me enough time to like stockpile enough ammo.
Yeah, I'll start now, man. You should start
Why?
5 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that I'm not, but like I just, I can't ever have too much.
Yeah, well, I mean, you try and explain this to normies, you're just like, we're operating on borrowed time. Everything the government does is functioning on borrowed money.
Yeah.
Like we're one financial crisis away from everything shutting down. Like how do you not see that?
Well, yeah, especially with that new plan that the Liberals have where they're going to like use our money to bankroll those institutions that are too large to fail. I mean, if someone touches my money, that's the day.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've got like everyone's got like several lines, but like if you touch my fucking money that I've worked hard for, that is my absolute like. I don't care what else you're doing. You touch my money that I use to live.
What do you think inflation is?
Well, yeah,
Well, that's a hidden tax on your wealth. We know that.
but at least that's something you can kind of plan for, and like hopefully you get like regular raises and like.
You're planning
Cost of
for them to
living.
take in 4% of your money every year.
Yeah, but if all of a sudden they're just like, yeah, I can't take more than like $50 out of my bank a day because they've decided that like whatever institution can't fail and they need to bankroll them so that they can fail harder and eventually recover 500 years from now with enough government funding, that is 100% the day where I just give zero fucks anymore.
All right, well, here's the day. You pack up everything you got and you get the hell out of the GTA because you won't win there.
Oh, I already know that. Yeah, don't. I'm
Come
not
to
telling
me.
people. I'm not telling anyone where I'm going, but
Okay.
I will definitely not be staying in the city.
Yeah, just get out of there.
Mm.
North Koreans will probably nuke it anyway.
Well, I don't know. They might parachute in first and then see if they can take control of it. And then if that doesn't work, then
But what's their
That-
capacity to deploy forces? Like how many guys they can parachute in? Like 100,
I don't know.
120 guys?
Yeah,
Korea?
3 or 4 of their chutes won't open, but those are acceptable losses. I mean,
Cutting this. You guys suck. I hate you. I'm cutting this.
what's his face over there? Like Kim Jong-il, or not him, but his kid. What's his kid's name?
Kim Jong-un?
Jong-un.
Yeah.
And we're not
Yeah.
talking about that. Fuck that. We're moving on. Let's talk
To,
about
to him, life is cheap, so he doesn't care what the expenses are.
All right, let's go into the Philpott report, because every week I'm going to find an article where somebody in our government does something incredibly stupid, and this
Only
is
one?
named for our health minister, Jane Philpott. Oh well, no, I'm going to make sure there's a recurring segment.
There's at least one, yeah.
There's at least one.
Yeah, because it should be easy.
And this week I want to give a shout out to Catherine McKenna, who at the Paris Climate Talk Summit spent $6,600 for a photographer for 1 day's worth of pictures of people sitting around a table.
As
Thanks, government.
as somebody that does photography on the side, I can tell you this: everyone wants us to work for free. So whoever that photographer is, kudos to you, my friend, for milking the system and getting it the other way around.
I'm going to say that whoever signed off on that expense
Is an idiot.
Whoever authorized that should be like summarily executed. I mean,
Oh, for sure.
6,000 is high for a day.
Yeah, $6,600 billed to taxpayers for a photographer to take pictures of Environment Minister Catherine McKenna at a table. They didn't go anywhere. They literally sat at a table.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but how much editing did you have to do to make him look good?
No, but I mean, you literally you could pay some like high school aged like child of somebody in attendance like nothing to take quality photos of that event.
Dude,
There's
I've had
no
people.
excuse.
I've had people ask me as a photographer to do more work than this guy probably had to do for free,
Yeah.
and they expect that I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I'll
I'm
say
not
this.
saying that that's not messed
People are
up.
Because
I'm
it
a
would-
professional.
Because it would be
I've done a
great
lot of
for my
professional-
portfolio.
Yeah. Similar to Gavin, I've done a lot of professional photography work. For one thing, for every hour that you're shooting, you've got like 2-3 hours worth of post.
Oh, for sure, and that's the
There's a
part that
shit
people don't
ton of work that
understand.
goes-
I'm not
Right,
trying
there's
to
a shit ton of work
belittle.
that goes in that.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to belittle the work that photographers do, and I understand that. I know you guys do photography, but do you not think that $6,000 for 1 day's worth of pictures is a little bit out of the ordinary?
Oh, especially when like they're sitting at a fucking table in a banquet hall. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, like they're not going to a site. He's not providing a set. He's not giving them costumes. They're literally at a table that's been provided to them at another venue.
And he probably could have done like an
Honestly,
hour and
I
got.
would say that's not. It's a little high. It's not outrageous.
I mean,
6,000 for the
it
day.
depends if you look at like if you're looking at someone that comes and does a wedding, okay?
Yep.
But that's like a whole day that they kind of need to be there, and like there's shit throughout the day that they kind of want to capture, right? Like the getting ready, the reception, the this or that, everything, right? So a guy needs to be there for the whole day. So you're gonna get people that range anywhere from probably like $4,000 on the cheap end to like, I don't know, I've heard north of $10,000 for like a really good photographer for the day. But like, yeah, if you get people that are like sitting at a banquet hall at tables all day, like, do you really need to be there all day? No, they probably could have got away with a couple of hours and got all the shots they needed for probably, I'd say $3,000 is probably pushing it for what they actually got out of it. versus.
Yeah, I would have guessed somewhere around $4,000. I would have kind of priced it somewhere
I
around
get,
three.
yeah, like it's debatable, but like, did they need to
Yeah.
spend 6 for a whole day for someone to basically when they probably could have got everything they needed in like 2 or 3 hours tops, plus editing?
Okay, so similarly with the Paris climate change, how do you guys feel about a $330 per day per diem for our wonderful government employees to be able to eat?
That's way too much. I pay my guys $75 a day.
Wow, I got to change companies. I don't even get paid $75 a day in per diems.
And
give them like six.
we don't even
six
give them
chicken
that?
nuggets and like a liter of water. It's all they.
We don't
get.
even give them that. They have to pay it out of their pocket, and we pay them back up to a maximum of $75 a day, including tips.
No, it's total BS, man. The people that are out, like, no shocker. Like, literally, nobody on the panel, and I probably guarantee that, like, nobody even listening to this podcast is surprised by this, that somebody who is a part of, like, the liberal entourage that gets deployed to Paris is going to take advantage of, the government coffers and eat $330 worth of Parisian food a day.
Dude,
Anybody
I don't
shocked
even
by
think
that,
I could.
really?
I don't even think I could do that if I fucking racked up a bar tab. Like,
No, here's the thing. I've done that, Dave. That's no problem. I have gone out with customers for like steak dinners at nice restaurants, and I have no problem putting away several $1,000s in bills. But if I go for work, my company is not going to pay me $330 a day in a per diem. That's not how that. Like,
oh yeah, no.
No reasonable business is going to do that, and I can understand.
And the difference with like a per diem and a here's your expense report that goes up to a per diem is given to you daily.
And that's what I'm saying.
Whether you spend it or not. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
like
government employees
that
Oh, exactly. To me, the government employees that had to go to Paris, in air quotes, they needed to be in Paris for the climate talk summary. We didn't need to pay them $300+ a day to go and eat. That's
So
if he wants to spend $300 a day, that's great. Let him spend that. But the Canadian taxpayer should not be reimbursing him for his.
But I mean, as someone that like you've had to go for business dinners where you have to take people out and everything, like sometimes they do get a little pricey. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
like I've taken like, I mean, I was recently in Edmonton and I took our guys out from our facility there, and we didn't go anywhere fancy, but like the bill came to a few $100s for 4 of us. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
And that all went on my expense report. And like for that day, even though I took out 3 people for dinner and then had like lunch and breakfast because I was traveling that day, my expense report for that day personally would have been over $300.
And I can understand that if that's part of your business.
Difference between expense report and a per diem.
But yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's like, so that one day I got that money back. But the next day, when I went to McDonald's for breakfast and spent $6, and then ate something else cheap for lunch for like $15, and then went out for a burger later that night for $30, I didn't get $300 in my pocket. I got what I spent back.
Exactly.
And this is you working for a private company, courting clients, doing whatever.
And
like you're ultimately responsible for what you do with the expense account. Yeah. Whereas with the government, who is the are our representatives? Like I'm doing quotes here, but I really should be doing brackets. Who are representatives like dining with that don't also work for some other government that is also covering their expenses.
Yeah, so per diems are for like contract workers where you're guaranteed this and everything else, and even then it shouldn't be government contract work. Like that's private company. Like if you work for a movie company or you're like a musician and you're touring and you're guaranteed like $100 a day for food, that's part of your contract, right? Like that's what per diem is for.
Yeah.
So I mean, all of us have, we've traveled for work and we've had, these expense reports and stuff like that for work. I've done this in Paris. I've had to work in France and I've been in Paris and on an expense report, and I was in a situation where it was not a concern in terms of what I could spend. I could go out to nice places and go out to eat and things like that on company dime. I would have a hard time spending $300 per person per day in Paris. That's difficult to spend that much on your meals out there. Like this is not even close to a reasonable value for Paris.
Oh, I know. Like a 300, like that's a lot of food. That's a lot of booze. Like, I mean, even if you break it down, that's $100 per meal. So who spends $100 on breakfast themselves?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm saying like even being in the situation where it really wasn't a concern,
Yeah,
I didn't come anywhere near that dollar value.
yeah. Like I was just in Montreal. I went out for a nice steak dinner at a nice place. I did not spend $300 on that meal, nor even come close to that on that day. And that dinner alone was not cheap. And that was a nice steak
Right.
dinner for 2 people with alcohol.
You're
like
talking
that.
about taking customers up. This per diem is per person.
Oh, I know,
That
but that's
is
what I'm
for
that's
that
what I'm saying
person
though. Like
to
that's what I'm saying though.
Yeah.
Like I mean that was
per diem means it's per day. It's not.
Yeah.
Per person.
But that's what
Yeah.
they get. Like, but a per diem is they go in the morning. They go, here's your $300 for the day, whether you spend it or
Right.
not. Like if you don't spend $300, you pocket the rest. Like that's the difference between like an expense report where you get what you've spent back versus a per diem where they go, here's $300 every morning, and they go, here you go, here you go, here you go. And if you're stupid, you go and spend that all. If you're smart, you go find the cheapest place and you pocket the rest of that money and just don't say anything.
And that's a good point. Why are we even talking about the dollar figure that they're getting for per diem? Why are they getting it as a per diem and not
They're all
as
generously compensated.
why is it not
before?
Even the compensation? Why is it not an expense report? Why are they not held accountable for what they spend? Why is it a per diem?
Yeah, exactly. That's my biggest problem right there. Is not so much the amount, because I mean, like we've all been in situations where we've had to spend that
The
kind of
amount is
money.
ridiculous.
It is $300 a day per person is a lot of money. That's absolutely ridiculous and entirely too
even
much.
in Paris, even working out in Paris, that is a fucking ridiculous amount of money.
But
still, why is it a per diem at all?
exactly, and that's the biggest problem. Is not so much the amount, but the fact that it's just given to you, just like here you go every day. Let's just throw money out the window. Like, oh, you want to go light cigars with $100 bills? That's fine. You can do that 3 times today. Give her. Like,
Yeah. It's ridiculous. All right, let's do rapid fire feedback.
What happened to all the stuff that just got crossed out suddenly?
Yeah, it's nearly 11 o'clock. I'm crossing out. Tracy's not here, so I'm going to do Guns Are the Problem with her at some point. Tactical walls we can revisit in the future.
they are cool though. I really do want one.
They're super cool, and I'd love to talk to you guys about it, but it's 11 o'clock. So we've got a significant amount of user feedback. Listener feedback, not user feedback. That's the wrong thing.
I do want to either before or after, whatever works for you, read my response from Simon.
Okay,
really?
Let's do Gavin's S&J hardware update, and then we'll do rapid fire feedback.
Yeah, so I finally did get a response from Simon. I'm just trying to pull up my email here.
God damn it! I thought you were
Are you now a sponsored tutor for S&J hardware?
I've got it right here. So like if for those that listened last week, you heard it, but if you didn't, I ordered some shit from them. Like 85 days later, after 4 phone calls and some emails, I hadn't heard anything, so I blasted them on the show, and then on Facebook, and then eventually on Facebook is when I heard back from them, but only because a mutual acquaintance friend probably prompted them to do that. So he responded to my initial email to him that was on July 29th, and he responded to me on August 30th, so like a month later. Gavin, thank you for the lovely email and phone calls. We did email you back when you placed this order to tell you that your credit card was declined. We tried 2 days later, then early the next week. Now, given that I have a transaction on my credit card the day before and after I placed the order on their website, I'm going to say that that's probably bullshit, but like I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. It's possible. Unlikely, but possible for whatever reason. But I never received an email. I never received any phone call until this email on the 29th of July, or the 30th of August. And it continues, I'm sorry there is no one sitting at the phone waiting for people to call, which is why we have the website and also dealers all over Canada. I did place the order on their website, so I don't know what he's fucking talking about there. But sorry this did not go well. If you can please submit an order with a credit card that works, we will be glad to ship your order. S&J.
Well, there we go. So it's your fault.
Oh, totally. I mean, the fact that they never bothered to tell me from day one. Like, now, if he tried to run that the day that all of this shit came out, which seems likely to me, then it's possible my card would have bounced because I had a new rifle and some glass on there. But like I said, given that I had a transaction the day before and the day after I ordered this from him, and that I actually have a receipt from him, from his website, mind you, when I
was your
checked,
card ever charged? Or?
No, my card was never charged, despite the fact that I have a receipt from their website.
Yeah, okay.
But just like unprofessional from start to finish. Like, I mean, never once did he call or email me to tell me that my card was declined. And as a business owner, if somebody is trying to buy something from me, I chase them down to get their money. You know, you shouldn't ever have the person spending money have to chase you down. That's not how business works. So, needless to say, I did never receive my parts, nor do I ever plan to, because I'm not giving him my credit card ever again. But yeah,
Well,
very unprofessional. And then there was a couple of posts on his personal Facebook page which kind of alluded to this, where he kind of came off as a bit of a cunt.
Well, I think this is a lesson in exactly how businesses works.
Yeah. So this one's for you, Simon. I will never order anything from you ever again. And we've also heard reports lately of somebody else trying to order some stuff from you where they got half of the stuff shipped but not the rest of it. So continue business as normal.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
that's the
Something I can add to
conclusion.
that. We're never getting him as a sponsor. That's fine.
Yeah, that's the conclusion to that.
Well,
he's only soured 1 out of 4. I have S&J parts that I have no issue with.
Oh, I have no issue with his parts that I bought from somebody that had them sitting on the shelf.
Yeah. There's literally nothing wrong with the products themselves. They're quite good products.
But
Yeah,
his business
I'm
practices
fine with
leave a
you.
lot to be desired.
Exactly. I have several shotgun components from S&J that are fine shotgun components, but the customer service has been lacking.
I ordered mine through a third-party distributor and had no problems.
Yeah, it's funny how that works,
That's
right?
probably the trick.
Well, so yeah, if you want to do business with them at all, you should probably not do business with them directly, just through a third party, so that way you actually get what you want. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm never buying any of their products ever again. Anyone else can take that or leave it as they see fit. I'm just putting it out there. Yeah.
Based on the experience you've had, I'd be in a similar situation.
Yeah, no, I mean, so that's kind of my theory with basically anybody in business is I will deal with you until you screw me over, and then I will never ever deal with you ever again.
Yeah, and I mean, and granted, like I mean, I'm willing to at least partially believe that maybe my card was no good. Maybe he punched the wrong number in or whatever, but like the response that he gave back, that, oh, we don't have people sitting by the phones. You're a business. Why do you not have people answering your corporate number to take orders?
I mean,
Also,
it's funny how you were able to get this response, but not the earlier one where he sent you the information that your card was declined.
Yeah. Also, like that's your business is to take orders. That's my business is to take orders. Guess how I take orders? Fax, email, phone call, letter even. We still have some Mennonite customers that actually handwrite us letters for orders. Like, if I could take an order by smoke signal or carrier pigeon, I would, because you know what? I like money. I like making money, and that's how I make money. If I wouldn't have to pay for a fax line anymore, that would be great, but I have so many customers that order by fax that I still accept it. Because that's how you fucking do business. But yeah, it doesn't come out until like, 85 days later when I actually make a complaint across social media that somebody else that knows him sees and tells him.
It's disappointing.
Yeah.
All right, let's do rapid fire feedback. Gavin's been drinking and is sad.
Always.
All right, rapid fire feedback. Do one of you guys want to read this, or should I just read them all?
You've been relatively silent on this podcast.
Let me scroll through.
I mean, I can do one. I've got the first one up if you want to take a breather.
I'll read Thomas's email.
All right,
or,
you get
Gavin, if you want to fucking plant your flag, I'll read something else.
I'm good. I can do the second one if you've got the first one up.
All right. Yep. Good to go.
Give her.
Okay, we have an email from Thomas. Andrew, I was listening to your takedown description while on my way to a firearms course at a range other than my own. What you experienced hit home as I could have happened. Okay, this guy needs to go back to school. I'm gonna start paraphrasing here. That could have happened to me or any shooter legally enjoying our sport. Thank you for being a solid example of how to react, regardless of how unjust a law enforcement officer's actions may be. If you plan on pursuing action against what you experience and require financial support, please consider a GoFundMe campaign. I will gladly support you. Thank you for the work you put into the podcast. I thoroughly enjoyed your solo show last week. I was coming back from Wasaga Beach early yesterday morning after visiting the Huronia Rod and Gun Club for a course on Sunday. As I crested a hill, I saw an OPP. I saw the OPP had an early ride program out. I started to laugh. Instead of being nervous, I recalled your measured, confident, and clear responses and prepared myself to answer in a similar vein. I'm sorry for what you experienced, sir, but it definitely prepared me for my first police stop while transporting restricted firearms. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good. I'm very glad that we could help Thomas out with his measured confidence and clear response to the OPP. And for the record, the correct response is, "Am I being detained?"
Yeah, absolutely. You should be like, "I am being detained while reaching for your gun." I mean, that is the correct response.
Yeah, no, I was worried today.
Out immediately, I have a gun. That's important too.
Yeah.
And I also have firearms.
Yeah,
possibly
I have a gun, and I'm like way more competent with it than you are.
Pepper in a few motherfuckers too while you're at it. That'll really help that out. Yeah, no, I was worried today. I was on my way back from the gun club, and I may or may not have blown past a cop sitting on the side of the road. Luckily, I was in an 80 zone instead of a 60 zone like I had thought I was, and so he didn't stop me because I was only 10 over instead of 30. But I was like, fuck. Well, I guess I'm going to join the club now, boys.
You were wearing multicam, were you?
I was, but they couldn't see it.
Oh,
it was only my pants. I was actually wearing exactly what I'm wearing right now, so multicam pants and this black wife beater. But yeah, luckily.
Is that racist? That sounds vaguely racist.
No, I'm not a black
wife. The wife beater.
Yeah, I'm not a black wife beater. It's a black wife beater. It's totally different.
But even if it was a black wife beater, like, wouldn't that also be racist?
So should I just call it a black tank top then?
I'm pretty sure that, like, just simply by, like, you being a white male, like, you are racist no matter what you do.
What if we said a wife beater that is also black? Is that like, acceptable?
It's like you're trying to appropriate their skin color.
So a black tank top and multicam pants. But luckily, I was in an 80.
Gavin, hold on. The use of the term tank top is insensitive to refugees. That's
only an area. Like, who's used a tank in the last 50 years, really? Other than like people in like downtown Baghdad.
The Americans when they were going into downtown Baghdad.
Yeah, but like, there's no refugees from there. We're okay.
I mean, they got T-34s. You know, they got some rusty T-34s rolling around.
Yeah.
It's all good.
I'm glad that Thomas enjoyed the show. I hope that you, Thomas, or other listeners, I hope you go back and listen to our episode on how to safely interact with law enforcement. You know, how to talk to the cops without getting shot, because that was a good episode from our.
Unfortunately, that's a thing that we need to learn. Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, kudos to you, Andrew, for sort of keeping that in mind when you came across the situation. It's one thing to talk about it. It's nothing to do it sort of under stress.
Yeah, because I think we would all love to do the "Am I fucking being detained?" But
time and place, man. Time and place.
yeah, well, yeah. There's the response you'd like to do, and the one that's not going to get you shot.
Well, exactly. And that was the thing. Was like, is today the day that I get shot? All right, let's do this.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you weren't wearing a plate carrier like Tyler.
But from now on, when I drive my truck, now I wear my plate carrier.
Well, there you go. Lesson in everything.
Right? Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just trying to normalize the use of level 4 body armor in Canada. That's all it is.
So I'm going to start driving in my plate carrier and gas mask from now on, just to be safe.
Perfect. Perfect.
That's not going to be weird, is it?
As always.
Yeah.
Just make sure they don't hit you on like a reduced visibility charge.
Oh no, I've got like it's a full field of view. It's one of those new fandangled British ones.
Perfect. As long as they can't get you on the field of view thing, you're fine.
Yeah, no, I don't put a hoodie over it. I'm good.
And check out Liberty or Death podcast episode 65 when Andrew joins us, where we talk about our run-in with the police, similar to what Andrew encountered and referenced in that last episode. So.
Okay. And the one before that when we get really, really drunk and Matt passes out on the bed. right before the episode ends.
Yeah. He slowly passed out over the course of like 15 minutes.
I totally thought he was gonna honk though. Like he finished that beer, crushed it, put it down, and then I thought he was gonna barf, but then he just passed out, so it was good.
No, Matt's actually like a bit of a lightweight. He's got polycystic kidney disease. So he doesn't deal with alcohol all too well, right? So like given his size, like I mean he's a big dude, right? He's probably like 230 pounds or whatever, and he just doesn't handle alcohol like you'd expect a man of his size to handle.
Unfortunately, it seems I don't handle rum like I used to, man. After that daiquiri episode, I was hungover as fuck the next day.
It's all the sugar, man. I felt sugar.
The beer and the whiskey's not so bad, but that rum was that kicked my ass.
No, it was the sugar in the daiquiri.
Rum was terrible to begin with.
The sugar always beats me, man.
Screw you, man.
Oh, I love rum. That's the problem.
Oh,
it's like one day a year, I'd have like a cider night, and like the next day, I'm just.
The worst though is like rum the next day when you sweat. It smells like rum.
Oh,
rum is one that I've never been able to deal with. I've always hated it.
I love it. It's so good, but man, yeah,
when never be a pirate.
When you get a rum hangover, a rum hangover is terrible. And yeah, when you sweat, all you smell is rum the next day, which just makes you want to barf even harder.
Yeah, like normally it's like you know something that you've had a bad experience with. But something like I've never even been able to get drunk off. I've never been able to drink rum. Like immediately it just like tastes terrible to me.
I feel bad for you, Marty.
Yeah, rum is shit. I drank way too much of it when I was 15. I haven't had it since.
Oh well,
yeah, exactly.
you guys are not drinking the right rum. We've got some great like dark rum. Oh, it's so good. But whatever, fuck you guys. You'll never be pirates.
Gavin, read the next story.
So, from the letter B, do you have any views on who might be best, or who might best protect our firearms rights? Best should a conservative government come to power? Every time I see the MSM articles, I see red and would rather hear your opinions. Keep up the freedom talk. Freedom is the righteous man's Viagra.
So I think this is just basically asking what is in terms of the future conservative leadership, who would best represent firearms rights?
None of them.
Yeah.
None of them.
Although it seems like the conservatives after the last thing are moving more in that thing because they've recognized that firearms are a heritage right. So they're moving towards that.
Even then,
They
it's still
recognize that it's a voter.
yeah,
It's a voting bloc.
it's a shitty framework to put our gun rights in, because then they're just going to say gun rights are therefore like intertwined with hunting rights. Therefore, any gun that is suitable to hunt with is all you need. Like that's a stupid path to go down. That's not what we need.
Well, yeah, but I mean the AR-15 is a hunting rifle, so that's okay.
But not in Canada for the last 20 years.
Yeah,
So Richard Wakefield has been on before and talked about the policy that he got to go to convention with what the Conservative Party stance on firearms will be at the next election, which is that firearms are an inherent right, and all of the Canadian heritage stuff, which is good, because at least some of the firearms will be available to us.
Yeah.
Let's address the question from the letter B. Also, seriously, you guys that are like afraid of writing in, we all use our real names on this show.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure if your name is like Bob or Barry or Bill, no one's gonna track you down.
Yeah, man. Yeah, my name's Tyler Gerard. I live in Blue Mountains. Fucking
my name is Andrew Vincent, and you can find me on iTunes or in Stratford, Ontario. I'm the guy with the AR and the body armor. Not hard to miss.
Yeah.
Stop using letters in your call signs.
At the very least, you could just say that your name is Bob.
But let's address the letter B's question. Who best would protect their firearms rights as a conservative, as the conservative leader?
Well, I think he's even asking, even if it's not the conservatives, who, as a party, even a fringe party, who would best protect their rights?
Have we made a Canadian national?
I read this I read this as a conservative leadership.
Yes.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think that's where he was going, but I mean,
let me first write off Dr. Kelly Leitch, MP for Simcoe Grey. She's running for CPC leadership. I have it on good authority that she has made anti-gun comments in the past, and my experience dealing with her personally, it's always been I get the boilerplate response. I don't get any personal response. I've written her many times, requested meetings with her many times on gun issues. I always get blown off. So she's no good. So let's write her off right off the bat.
If you want to say in the Conservative Party who's going to be the best, fucking Bob Zimmer. Boom, done.
Bob Zimmer's a good man.
Bob Zimmer is a good man, but he won't run for the leadership.
No, he won't.
No, but otherwise, I have no idea.
If I had to pick somebody, Bob Zimmer is the best choice in the Conservative Party for pro firearms rights.
Yeah,
pro rights in general.
Leadership.
Tony Clement is also not bad. He's MP for Muskoka, allegedly. And no, he won't, right? But I've heard that he's owned a Swiss Arms in his gun owning career. So he at least understands, the issues. I think as far as contenders,
pre or post ban.
I don't remember, but as far as contenders go that have been tossed up, I think actually Kevin O'Leary would make a solid candidate, because not only does he have the actual charisma to win, but he understands markets. He understands how this stuff works. He understands cause and effect. He understands. He looks at raw data and then looks at the results on the bottom line. I think you need a cold, hard, calculating capitalist to actually make rational decisions on policy. So I think he would actually be a good man to be CPC leader.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, your logic I think is sound. He seems kind of like an ass to me, but your logic is sound.
Yeah, and that's my same experience with Trump, right? I keep talking to people and I wish he just wasn't so mean, right? And I'm just well, who cares? You want somebody competent. Who cares? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ideally you need somebody that's both if they're going to be running your country, but you need to look at somebody that's going to make good decisions.
Yeah.
And if they're a dickhead, then they're a dickhead. But as long as they're making good decisions, I think that's more important. But, I guess it depends on the situation, but, I would rather have someone that's a dickhead and competent than someone that's incompetent and polite.
Yeah.
Like Shiny Pony?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on. Who's reading the next one?
No, I can pull
All
it
right,
up
I
if
can.
you want.
I'll take it.
All right.
So, Patriot.
No, the letter I.
One above.
All right, I have to admit you piqued my curiosity about the AC pilot, the Air Canada pilot that left with the corporate card in the bar. Intro comment on episode 40. Being, allegedly, an Air Canada pilot myself, I'm somewhat confused. Did you mean to refer to the Air Transat or United pilots recently arrested in Glasgow for being under the influence recently? FYI, while not pursuing personal liberty by any means on my days off, I pride myself on showing up to work in a professional, non-intoxicated manner. On a different note, thanks again for covering AR-15 alternatives, especially those not trackable by the state, non-restricted. Glad you picked up on that aspect. I'm enjoying, allegedly, my XCR a lot. Keep up the good work. YouTube, Hackroy.
No,
Yeah,
that's
and a buddy-
totally different.
Yeah,
That's
no,
from the
there
letter
we go.
I.
that's Andrew's
All
like
right.
poor, you know,
Good
like
work.
show notes.
Wow, this is a
preparation.
terrible format, dude.
Yeah,
You know
the
what?
format. The format's garbage. It's garbage.
If
All
you
right.
You get what you
wanna
get what
do
you
the
pay
show-
for, though.
That's right. If you want to fix the show notes, you fix the fucking
All right,
show
we went a
notes.
little too
All
far,
I
but
care
all right,
about
we're
is
good.
this dude is out enjoying allegedly an awesome
Allegedly.
non-restricted firearm.
Yeah.
You know what? Like after hearing this podcast, you should just go out and buy 5,000 rounds of ammo and in 20 magazines.
Yeah, get all of the ammo and mags you can. And I mean, I was more making fun of pilots in general and Air Canada specifically because Gavin had recently had a less than ideal travel experience with Air Canada.
Ugh,
We all have.
I've had many,
Well, who
unfortunately.
hasn't?
My last experience with Air Canada, I sweet talked the what do you call him?
Host?
Stewardess.
Is it still a
And-
stewardess if it's a boy?
No,
Sure.
it was
Stewardess.
definitely a girl. I mean, who knows these days, right? But I mean, it
Did
looked
you
a lot
assume
like,
their gender?
it was a pretty convincing girl.
That's
who knows?
not very. That's so close-minded of you, Tyler. You're just so non-progressive.
She gave me a beer, and then she was like, "Are you gonna have more than one?" I was like, "Oh, most definitely." She was like, "Okay, so would you like to open up a tab?" I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, whatever." And then
They let you run a tab on the plane. That's awesome.
yeah. So they charged me for the first beer to get my card in the system, and then I had 5 or 6 beers, and they just never they never finalized the bill for the remaining beer. And then sure enough, on my credit card bill, it was just the one beer. So
Sweet.
From my experience, Air Canada domestic versus Air Canada international are completely different things.
Oh yeah.
They
this
are.
was
They
a
are very different.
Vancouver to Toronto flight.
Right. The domestic flights, I mean, the staff is entirely different. The experience is entirely different. When you start doing the long haul, like I typically do the basically the Canada to Asia flights, those the 14, 16-hour flight type of stuff.
That
The
blows.
staff is entirely different.
Yeah.
Do you mean different, personality-wise, they hate you? For me.
Domestic flights are brutal.
Actually, the opposite. I've had the opposite experience. The domestic flights, the staff is typically a lot younger, a lot newer on the job. So the international flights is, in terms of the sort of stewardesses and stuff like that, apparently that's where the better money is, and that typically goes to the larger seniority staffers from Air Canada. This is from what was explained to me at least. And so when you fly sort of the long flight internationals, it's typically closer to retirement staffers, and they are sort of sort of beaten down basically by the whole system, and they're just not happy to be there. They're just waiting out their retirement, and they don't want anything to do with anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I found just the domestic flights for me personally have just been, but I guess it depends on where you're flying to domestically. Because like it seems like the ones that I've had are like the ones that are on like Edmonton to Toronto to Edmonton to Toronto to Edmonton all in one day, and they're just like by the end of it they're just like fuck this shit. I just want to go home.
Yeah.
You know, like they're just so burned out from being on like 5 flights a day or whatever. Like
Yeah.
whereas like some of the people that are going on those longer haul ones, like they only get like that 1 flight a day because that's an entire shift.
Yep.
So they get there, and then they get to spend like a weekend in Paris. They go out and buy cheese and wine, and then they go like home, and you know.
Well, Paris is that's only a 6-hour flight or whatever, but
Yeah, it always seems to me like whenever I'm on an international flight, they're always so much better because it's like that's their flight for the day. Like they've worked their shift, they get to go there and they fuck off and party for a night or two, and then they're happy, right? Whereas like the domestic flights I usually have are like short haul domestic flights where they're doing a bunch of those in the day and they're just crotchety as fuck.
okay, we're entirely off topic. But going back to this guy's comment, what was the comment about the pilot left the corporate card in the bar? I don't remember that one.
I guess that was when Andrew did a show on his own.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't remember that either. So
Is Andrew gone now, or
No, he's back.
no, he just self-muted.
Yeah, we
Still
can't
muted.
hear you, Andrew.
all right?
He's
His shit's-
gesturing wildly.
Well,
Yeah, your shit's not working. Do you know sign language?
Dude, we can't hear you.
Yeah, he's logged off.
He just dropped right in.
All right, quick! Everybody say something really offensive while Andrew's off.
cunt, fucker.
Yeah, cock, balls, cunt.
Well, I will say this: in the off chance, when I shot my
Hey, is it on now?
Yeah,
We
you're
can
good
hear
now.
you. We can hear you.
Great. Can you
I can't see you.
We should have still kept saying no. Actually, just let him keep
There,
going.
there you go.
I don't know what the fuck happened. My shit all cut out. I could hear you, and I was like gesturing wildly to try and get your attention.
No, we could see you. We just couldn't hear you. But now we can do both.
Well, that's good. I could unfortunately see and hear you. What was I? So the episode that I did solo because all of my friends abandoned me. Gavin had been.
I was busy getting drunk in Edmonton.
Right, Gavin had been traveling that day, and we had like just prior to the show, we had been discussing like the poor level of customer service that he experienced traveling Air Canada.
Incredibly poor. Although
So
that
I wrote an Air
$400
Canada joke into the show.
I
That's how it works.
I was watching 13 Hours, The Secret Soldiers of Benghazi with my girlfriend and mother of my child.
So no,
that's a lovely
total
romantic
non
movie,
sequitur.
Tyler.
Did you enjoy it? Was it good?
You know, it was an entertaining movie. I don't know if it was good.
At any point did you go, "God damn, Michael Bay"?
No, not really. Only in the
Right?
sense
It's
that,
not like a terrible current Michael Bay movie.
I was just kind of like, yeah, you know, this movie's kind of like The Rock, you know?
It's a good Michael Bay movie.
He's gone back to his roots.
If anything, he was more like fuck Hillary Clinton.
But yeah, I was just like, well, where is the vilifying of Hillary Clinton for her role in all of this? Like,
There
where is
was
that
no
happening?
vilifying of Hillary Clinton in
Yeah,
that.
so it's pretty
That's
disappointing.
because they all wanted to live.
Yeah. So I of course dropped the truth bombs on my lady friend, and she's no stranger. Like she knows. So it wasn't really all that of a enlightening experience for her. She already knew, but you know, always a good opportunity to have a good conversation about current events.
Well, I just confirm, you know. Confirm you're both on the same page, given you're having a chat together, right?
Yeah,
like,
no, we're good, man. I struck gold. It's all good.
Just as a random, just in case, the letter for the letter I, the person that wrote this comment, I shot my black badge with a pilot from Air Canada. And out of curiosity, if it's the same dude, if you shot your black badge at Crumlin, shoot a message to the podcast if you're the same guy, because he was a good shooter.
All right. Good stuff.
All right then.
Yeah.
All right, last one is a YouTube comment from. God damn, I work with some sexy people. Last one is a YouTube comment comes from Pat Groy. A buddy of mine wants an inexpensive, non-restricted plinker that is not rimfire. I suggested an SKS. Do you guys have any other suggestions?
What do you consider not expensive?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's just say under 1,000.
Under 1,000? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean,
Underexpensive, like unexpensive for the rifle and ammo, or
I don't know. I mean,
Either. I think let's say either because he says inexpensive, non-restricted, not rimfire. Those are our criteria.
SKS
so-
is a pretty good suggestion.
yeah, SKS, a Mosin, like depending if you want semi or bolt.
Yeah, SVT 40 get you
Yeah.
in the same neighborhood.
A Mauser.
I'm going to be ridiculous and say a K31.
Ooh,
Yeah, straight pull.
pricey.
Straight pull.
Under 1,000, and the ammo is available.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful
Nice
rifle.
rifle, but they're
Yeah, 6.5
Yeah.
Swiss? Heck yes.
Yeah, I mean,
There
there's
was a guy that I was shooting on my squad with at the Meaford match that was shooting a K31.
Nice.
And
straight
one-
irons.
yeah, no, he was shooting an optic. I don't know what it was, but he was shooting K31 unmodified military configuration, but had an optic mounted on it. And I think it was the guy that actually came in first or third. I forget who it
Nice.
was.
Nice.
Donated the Citron S3 Big Sky Scope to him to build a better rifle with.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's wicked.
gun
Yeah.
people are the best people when they're not
Yeah.
being dicks.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, tell me about it. Fuck.
I mean, there's a bunch of like bolt action rifles that like, I mean, an inexpensive like Remington 700 would be a great plinker.
Yeah, you get a 700 in like 223.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can get like a Remington, like the 700 SBS Tactical Varmint, with the 26-inch barrel
Yeah.
and the bull barrel. Like, you can actually reach out and touch things with that.
Oh yeah.
You're looking at 750 or less for that.
The hard thing is, unless you're looking at a Bill Syrup round, ammo's expensive.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but that's what I say. Like the 700 in 223 is not terrible. The 6.5
Yeah.
Swiss isn't.
It's
It's not
almost impossible to
terrible.
get cheap 223.
Yeah, 223 is not awful. I mean, even
Yeah,
the factory rounds for
45, 50
223 are
cents
shit.
around.
Yeah.
But you can
My.
get some American Eagle or some Israeli.
Oh, dude, I
Yeah,
was
but
shooting
there's
American Eagle today, and they were 3 inches off.
No, but what are you getting American Eagle for?
There's no more Norinco 223s, so
50
that
cents?
kind of.
American
it
Eagle is
was-
like $550 for 1,000.
Oh, it was
Yeah,
cheap.
50,
but,
55
like,
cents.
it was cheap, but I was 3 inches off at 100 yards,
Yeah.
and I haven't
3
touched.
inches off of whatever you were shooting before. Not
3 inches
of
off,
whatever.
or your group
Yeah.
was 3 inches?
My group was 3 inches to the left, and I haven't
Well,
touched.
okay, but how big was your group?
It was pretty big, but like if I took like the average, I was shooting 3 inches to the left with American Eagle versus like Hornady.
So you're saying standard deviation was 3 inches?
No.
Yeah,
Zero shifted
No, no,
3
no.
inches left.
Yeah, like if I took, like-
ammo.
I mean,
group
like,
shift,
my
it gives-
group.
it gives a
Well,
shit.
yeah.
But what's your group size?
Oh, it
Right.
was like way bigger.
How
like-
way bigger?
Way bigger. What's way bigger? Yeah.
Like a foot or like 6 inches?
Well, normally it's like if I'm like just
Like
shooting
120 inches?
120 inches.
Well, as seen on
So-
CGN, everybody shoots under 1-inch groups, right?
yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah. So like if I'm shooting like decent quality rounds with my MVP at 100 yards, I'm shooting like an inch and a half group if I'm like halfway paying attention,
Yeah.
like
Hey, how much does an
You're doing-
MVP
you're
go
doing
for?
your
That's
thing.
probably a good choice for a plinker.
it would be just over 1,000 without glass.
So that might be doable for this guy. I mean, it's not the
Yeah.
$300 that an SKS is going to cost him.
I
But
mean,
if
like
he's
out, maybe.
done for
with
300
with glass, I'm like over 2. But
Well,
like
yeah.
I would,
But okay, so you subscribe to the same rule that I do. Though, like the glass is the expensive part, though.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
sure.
Yeah.
I will definitely say that is a great rifle. And like when I want to get a better, like the scope I have on it right now is the Vortex the smaller one, the 6 by whatever.
624 by 50?
No, not 24.
How do you not know?
Because
I can't
I've been
do
drinking a
shit.
half bottle of rye. But it's not bad out to like 100 yards, but to go to further than that, which the rifle is totally capable of, like it's good to about 1,000.
Then it's not a 6-power optic, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
six
no, it's
power
the
optics
other
should
one.
be out there.
1 to 4?
No,
1 to
it's
4
the,
by 24?
it's the other one.
2.5 to 10 by 40.
That's probably the one. It's not a
10
great.
actually get you out to 1,000.
Well, it will,
I've
but
shot
like
10 to
it
1,000.
will, but like I'd like to have that extra oomph to really zoom in at 1,000, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's the one that I have on my 338, and like shooting 1,300 yards, not a problem, easy. But
Wait, what one do you have on your 338?
I have the 6 by 24 by 50 or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's perfect on that, but I have the one step below that on this MVP, and it's not bad, but I should have gone with the one step up. So I'll probably replace that whenever I get another $1,400 or whatever that I can blow on something. But
What's her name?
exactly.
Right.
But yeah, the MVP, I think, for somebody that wants to spend maybe a little bit more money on like a plinker, is a great rifle to do that, especially if you get it in 2 through 3. But
Yeah.
don't shoot American Eagle with it, because my group went from like an inch and a half on target to 3 inches left, and maybe about like 8 or 9 inches.
So
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, American
Yeah.
Eagle's not great. If you're going to spend like $1,000 on a plinker, though, I mean, CZ, VZ, 858, 58.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know this guy says he's looking for an inexpensive, non-restricted plinker that is not rim-fired. But if
SKS.
you're looking for an inexpensive, non-restricted plinker, rim-fired is the way to go.
Yeah, there's so many rimfire plinkers that are amazing,
Yeah,
that are under like $500.
right.
Yeah, 1022.
And if you go under $1,000 for a rimfire, you can get some pretty fucking nice, accurate.
Yeah, like CZ
Blinkers.
455 or 452 or something like that.
Oh yeah, I've got
Yeah,
like a
those are-
Browning bolt action that's under 1,000, and it is fucking accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Under 1,000,
rimfire.
you probably can start even getting this like some of like use and shoots and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, and the XCR knockoff, the Scar knockoff 22, the ICS or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've
The
looked at that. Like
ISSC
for
22.
$500, that looks like a fun rifle.
Yeah. Or the SG44 clone.
Yeah,
20. Yeah.
yeah. I definitely want
Yeah.
that. Especially
So,
when it goes.
so,
buddy,
it would be
unless
great.
you're shooting beyond 100 yards, look at the 20 rimfire options basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then look at your 7.62 by 3.9 stuff, and then start looking at 223 5.56.
Yeah.
And then start looking at milsurps.
Yeah, I mean, I was shoot my SKS today, and that was. I mean, it's hard to beat that. For like $200, you can get one that's in almost mint condition.
What do you guys recommend? Russian or Chinese or?
Romanian.
Mine's a 1952 Tula, so Russian, and it's like in mint condition, and it shoots great. You know, you can get cheaper ones if you go with like the Chinese ones, or if you can manage to find an Albanian one, that'll be rare, so it'll be worth more money, but it won't necessarily be better.
Yeah, East German ones are also rare and worth more money.
Are they better?
Allegedly, I mean, it is what it is, right? It's totally subjective to a certain extent.
Yeah, but I mean,
I
you're
have the same thing
like
with
the
all of
finish-
these rifles.
The finish quality is definitely a subjective thing, right? But
Yeah.
performance, really, like the objective performance of the rifle is kind of like the tell-all, like how
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, but I mean, if you go to like SFRC, they have like 100 SKSs in stock right now for like $200.
Yeah, or 120, as I've heard.
Yeah,
Um,
but you basically go into any gun store. I mean, even Cabela's online has SKSs.
Fire has them sitting there.
So, I mean, if you really want a cheap intermediate cartridge plinker, an SKS is hard to beat.
Yeah, that's my first gun. I mean, you can't go wrong.
Like, yeah, I mean,
it's from there.
Especially if you want a semi-automatic. If you want a bolt action, go with a Mosin.
K31.
Although I'm gonna probably go buy that 9130 that they had at LeBaron if it's still there this week. Because I've already got the M44. I want the sniper version, and the price was right, and it was like fucking mint condition. So if anyone's listening and you go buy that, I will fucking punch you right in the cock.
All right. I don't know that we helped Pat Groy, but we tried.
Yeah. If you really want, like, reach out to us individually maybe, and we'll give you a better answer.
Yeah. Go Rimfire.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah.
Rimfire 762 223 and then Milsurps. That's
I think honestly the best advice we can give is go buy the ammo first, because that's what's going to cost you more in the long run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
like if you spend $800 or $1,400 on a rifle, long run that's nothing.
Yeah.
How's it work out? If you can get 222 LR, it's slightly less expensive than 762x39?
Oh yeah. I mean, I guess Tim posted that thing in our chat about the bulk at SFRC where you can buy like 5,000 rounds for this price, and it actually ended up being like 2 cents more expensive than buying them 100 at a time. But like 223 is still dirt cheap. Like
22, 762, 223, and then Milsurp stuff. That's your
because you can buy a crate of like 1,500 762 for a couple $100, even if you go to like 1,000 of the Norinco stuff, it's still fairly cheap.
That doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah,
it's all gone.
You can't get Norinco 223 anymore, but you can still get
no, 762.
76239 or 762
39, yeah.
Yeah, 39.
Yeah, I think Al Flaherty still had a few cases, but I
saw 762x39 for 1,500 rounds was $350 at FSRC on the weekend.
Yeah, that was what it was when I was.
That's pretty good.
That's what it was when I was there on Thursday.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting a couple of cases to stock up because I'm starting to get low on 762.
If you want, I gotta pop into LeBaron. I can check what the price is there, and then you won't have to pay shipping.
Cool, let me know.
And
I'm cutting this, and I have to edit, so fuck all y'all.
But yeah, if I go there, I can just grab it, and then I'll bring it to the thing on Saturday or whatever, or whenever I see you.
Okay.
Because ammo's not cheap to ship, especially when you buy 1,500 rounds at a time.
Yeah, but if you buy enough, they ship it for free.
True.
All right, let's. We've killed that. I'm gonna watch this. Let's do the outro.
Andrew, you're first.
As always, my name is Andrew. You can find all my work on everydaytactical.com or on Instagram and Twitter. And if you want to come and train with me in October 15th at Guelph Rod and Gun Club, you can find all the course information on ragnaroktactical.ca.
I can't type quickly enough, so I'll just do my own thing.
So Tyler,
I can be found with the International Liberty Death Podcast. We throw one out about every 2 weeks. Facebook.com/Liberty Death Podcast. Twitter and Instagram at Liberty Podcast. You can always follow me personally on Facebook, Tyler Gerard. And that's probably about it.
So that's all you need to know, right?
Yeah, that's all you need to know.
Since Marty doesn't believe in any sort of social media, I guess I'm next. You can find me on the Instagram at urbex_GTA. You'll also be able to find me at Andrew's Carbine course. I'll be the one rocking the SKS with the stripper clips just to piss him off.
I swear to God, I will kick you off my line.
That's fine. I'll still be shooting. You can go fuck yourself because it's a free country. Otherwise, yeah, you can. If you're friends with any of these assholes on Facebook, you can find me through them. If not, check yourself because social media is the way to go. Marty, fix yourself. That's all I got to say. But you can totally bash me for not having an AR or a pistol or anything. That's fine. I'm good with that. And tell me to fix myself too.
Yeah, I think that's more in need of being fixed than not having Facebook. But.
Oh, Marty. Someday we're going to convince you to join the internet.
No more signals for you.
He's got an AR with like shims and 9mm buffers and whatever.
Seriously, like 15 minutes of that is getting
I'm just waiting to
out.
see if this internet thing catches on.
To be fair, I mean, it was invented by Al Gore, so that is kind of hit or miss, but...
I'm assuming it's some sort of anti-global warming mechanism.
Yeah. It's just a way for the government to track us.
All right, I'm
So for the
turning this
most
off.
part, I just don't like people.
Shut it down. Shut it down, Andrew.
I'm turning this off. I've had enough. You're all making way more than I should. Like we do every week, we'd like to remind our listeners that you are the true north, strong and free.